And we are live, ladies and gentlemen. We are live. We are now live. Welcome. You guys are the first wave of people to the stream. Thanks for tuning in today. Another day, another dollar. 1 week closer to Classic, right? We have a good show for you. So this is PvP Workshop episode 12. We've done 12 of these damn things, and having a blast, man. So I'm joined, once again by the homies Takanashi and Sorrana. Their nameplates are mixed around per usual because I started streaming.
I prepared something for this. Give me a second.
How the fuck did he know?
What? He left? Well, yeah, that was it.
Yep. He got something.
But yeah, we have a good show for you guys. We're going to talk about. We're just going to spitfire. Like, we're going to go through all the classes. People love class-related content, right? So.
Hello. I'm the Takanashi.
What the fuck?
So I got jelly of your beard, so I got myself one.
Oh, dude, it looks good. It looks good.
Isn't it nice? I like it. I like it.
What do you guys think, chat?
Nearly like the original.
It's the Santa Claus.
Is that authentic Taka hair? Is that he? No, dude, you're missing some of the gray patches. You got to get like one of those silver Sharpies and like touch it like this. You get the silver fox.
Yeah. Maybe I can find some spray paint later. Yeah. And then...
Nice, dude. Looks good, dude. Let's see how long he can last before he gets itchy and takes it off.
All right.
But yeah, so we're going to go over online classes. Just spitfire, light and polite. Nothing too crazy or in-depth, you know. There's so much to unpack in this game, right? Classic WoW, there's so much to unpack. So we're just going to spitfire off the top, strengths and weaknesses, stuff like that. We're going to go down the list. But first, we'll get started with some news. But before we get into news, let's find out news from the homies. So Takanashi, Sorrana, how have you guys been? How was your last week? How was your weekend? How are things with you guys?
Which Takanashi do you mean?
The more
silver bearded one. Yeah.
No, sure. Let's start with the original Takanashi.
I've been good. It's been busy. I don't know. Yeah, the gym is, lots of shit to do at the gym. It's January. Yeah, open up a cafe at the gym. So yeah, lots of stuff to do there. I'm trying to get in shape for my LA trip. You know
what I
mean?
You're less than a month away, man.
Yes, sir. I dropped what is it, like 6 pounds so far? 7 pounds maybe.
Taka's coming to LA. He's gonna get a classic WoW tattoo across his back, across his trap.
Shoulder to shoulder.
Oh, how you doing, Sorrana? How's life with you, man?
Pretty good. I indeed enjoyed real life this time. So I missed the AQ opening on Northdale at, I think, Saturday it was, maybe Sunday. So I missed it. Couldn't farm my reputation for the tier 2.5 and stuff. But overall, what was quite nice. Yesterday we went first time AQ 40 with the guild, and we cleared it right away. Like, at least Katoon on third try I was pretty surprised by those people I raid with, that they function so good.
Nice.
So
nice, man.
I'm happy.
Nice, man. Well, I'm happy for you guys. We're all doing well here. We're 1 week closer, right? So we're gonna get started into some news and updates and stuff like that. So let's do it, man. Agenda, news and updates. So yeah, we're going to go over the classes, we're going to rank them, what rank to aim for each class, go over gearing, all that good stuff. Alright, so news and predictions. There's not a whole lot to work with here, guys, but we still think it's important as a weekly show to touch on news for a couple minutes. There was a article that came out on Gadget Advisor. Nothing new, we've all heard the same updates. They're talking about Classic WoW, how exciting it is, but they did say that it's rumored that they're going to launch with 20 servers. I don't think I ever heard that up until this point. But 20 servers, what do you guys think about that? 20 servers is not a lot of servers. I mean, even if you were at the high end on a server, let's say there's like, like 8,000 people on a server. Times 20.
But I mean,
160,000 people that's going to accommodate? Like, there's no way they're launching with 20, right?
but I mean, is that 20 for NA, 20 for Europe, 20 for Asia, right?
Yeah, I don't know. That they didn't really specify on there. It's got to be 20 per, even if it was 20 per region though. So that would be, what do they have? EU, APAC,
Whole world, you could say. Maybe. I mean, there's not everyone playing private because there are so many people coming from retail then. But maybe 20 is like 20 is okay. Maybe. I mean, with these technical standards that this AAA company could have, even without the sharding technology, could be huge. Like even more than any private server could ever afford, maybe. And if they raise the player cap, then why shouldn't they be able to get all those people on 20 servers, maybe?
I think that the fact that they're using 20 servers is good because in history, right, Blizzard always failed to predict their what was going to happen. So if they launch with 20 servers, that means they're going to be needing 120. So good for us, right?
Good for us, maybe.
Yeah.
I mean, what do you guys think? Do you think 20 seems way low? I mean, even if they did 20 per region, you're at 160k per region, 480k globally. That seems way low, dude. Yeah, so, I mean, it's probably no truth to it, but I don't know. We'll see what happens. That was the first thing, so feel free to check it out. Links right there if you want to check out that article. It's kind of boring other than that. So the other thing I saw on Reddit, this may be old news to some, it was posted a couple months ago, but this dude named Can It Nerd had a post, kind of tinfoil hat post, saying classic release date is July 16th, 2019. And the reason why he said that is that Blizzard had a little like character comparison. They're comparing the screens or something, I guess, during one of the presentations at BlizzCon, and the two gnomes are named Oscanti and July. They're saying about a summer release date, so the name July is there. And apparently Oscanti, when you armory it, is a gnome that had a patchwork kill on July 16th, 2006. And it's one of the most upvoted posts on the Reddit, on Classic WoW Reddit. So it's something to think about. What do you guys think about a July 16th release?
I think that could fit, and I think the team that is working on Classic release and like on the transformation to the new engine and client, I think they are one of those nerds that could hide Easter eggs in stuff like that, maybe.
Yeah.
So why not? Would be fun.
I'd be happy with July, man. July 16th. What do you guys think, chat? You guys be happy with that? You think it's more towards August? Yeah, I mean, I don't know. The fact that there's been no real updates for a bit makes me think it's going to be later. But we'll see. We'll see what happens. But it's something to think about. Another Reddit post. This is something that I found kind of cute. If you guys know the Jasper Load mine, I think it's this thing here on where is it? I think it's this mine here. Correct me if I'm wrong. Near this lake. But it was another one of the most upvoted posts this week on the Classic WoW Reddit. And the post was titled "The Jasper Load Mine. If this felt underused, there's a good reason. This was originally meant to be the first 5-man dungeon, which I never knew. A kobold dungeon."
I read that as well. Yeah.
Kind of cool, right? Kind of cool.
Wow. Okay, I didn't know that.
Yeah. but
you not take candle?
yeah. Yeah, that's part of the beauty of Classic WoW, though. It felt unfinished, but that unfinished sort of veneer made it seem more mysterious, right? So it's cool to learn the behind-the-scenes behind it. Some other cool posts here, funny things about rogues. And then the last piece of news, and then we'll move on, was that the Classic WoW speedrunner Joanna, who we all probably bought his guide back in the day with Mom's Visa card, got banned on Twitch recently for streaming his, you know, classic WoW replay. So kind of a bummer, but it he was apparently automatically banned due to reporting or something like that. Kind of a bummer, but little nugget for you guys there. This is all we got for you on the news section. So, without further ado, we will move into the classes. 20 minutes, or, you know, 10-15 minutes on news, not too bad, right? Alright, so classes, we're going to go through them all and just kind of spitfire our thoughts about the classes. We'll talk about some cooldowns, defensive cooldowns, playstyle, spots in a pre-made, etc., etc. So you guys ready for this?
I'm ready.
Take a big sip.
Of course.
Ooh.
So overviewing the hunter in PvP. Alright, well, in the open world while leveling, especially if loot boast is going to be relevant, super strong. Super strong. It's especially if you get the jump on people, incredibly strong while leveling out in the open world. You got movement ability. I mean, your pet, there are certain stages of the game while you're leveling with a hunter, if you have loot boast or something, where your pet can literally just solo people. Like, you just let your pet solo them and you just run away. You're just running away from them.
Yep.
We all can relate with that, right? It's so frustrating when loot boast is just chomping at you. And even potentially when, because loot boast, if you guys don't know, he's the shadow wolf from Duskwood. He deals shadow damage. He bypasses armor. And you're able to really chunk people down with them, and the nature of physical damage as opposed to magic damage is, you know, even if you're potentially under leveled, that physical damage will go through a lot more of the time than magic damage. So, open world leveling, very strong. Hunters are pretty strong. It's pretty much impossible to run away from a hunter. That's another thing I'll mention. It's pretty much impossible to run away from a hunter. You might as well just take a line of play where you're going to try and confront them and have some kind of win condition. Because if you're just going to try and run away from them, you're just gonna die a slow, painful death of 1,000 cuts.
I like that that statement. You should just stop running away from them and just confront them. That
Yeah.
sounds so good. Yeah.
You gotta confront them, man. Because if you just keep running away, man, you're just gonna be concussive shot until it's all over. So that's kind of the leveling aspect. Dueling, really fun. There's some great versatility with the different spec options as a hunter. You can get, my favorite PvP spec as a hunter is going the spec where you can pick up Intimidation. You can also pick up Scatter Shot. It may be suboptimal in a pre-made setting. I'm not sure. I'm curious to hear Taka's and Sorrana's thoughts on this. But that's the super control build for hunters, where you have access to both Intimidation, Scatter Shot. You're really prioritizing control over everything. I'll stop talking now, though. What do you guys think? Any initial things about Hunter?
Yeah, I mean, I have to add to the loot boast thing that we might have a little different picture of loot boast on the private servers, because like on the private server now, on like the most recent Northdale, they decreased the respawn of loot boast to like 5 or 10 minutes. Instead of like hours and hours of respawning. So it's not really anymore a rare pet on this server.
Yep.
And if we go back to Classic, it will be so much harder for all the hunters to farm in, or to get him. Because there will be so much griefing from both sides and both factions that there will be more dead loot posts than tamed ones, because no one wants that the other one gets it, so they just grief and kill the loot post before anyone can tame it. And it will be just a pain for any hunter that wants to go for him, but you're, like Kargoz said, it's until patch 1.9 and the loot post nerf, it is so OP that you are forced to get it as a hunter, because it's just too good.
It is one of the most frustrating things as a hunter, guys. Let me tell you, I've made hunter 3 times. Having to get loot boast and Broken Tooth is so fucking frustrating, dude. I've seen Broken Tooth killed in front of me so many times, stolen from me, you barely missed it. Sometimes it feels janky towards where he's spawning. You're just like constantly in the Badlands trying to find him, you can never find him. It's a very, very frustrating thing, and it's one of the main reasons why getting ahead of the pack as a hunter is so valuable, because you can grab that early Broken Tooth or that early loot boast. And on Zethker, that's what I did. I was one of the first hunters to get Broken Tooth, and man, was awesome. Yeah. But yeah, so I mean, the respawn on loot boast on Classic should be the same as like Broken Tooth, right? I wonder if it's all normalized, if it's all streamlined like that. What is it, like 24 hours or 8 hours or something?
I think it's 8.
Eight,
I think
right?
it's 8.
Yeah, makes sense.
I'm not sure about. I think Broken Tooth was 8. I did it with my hunter for a while, then there was 8. I don't know about Lupos. And many people in chat are like, yeah, but Lupos will be nerfed in 1.12 patch. That's true, but just because they say Blizzard didn't mention anything on what kind of patch we are starting. They say they will use the 1.12 data, but we don't know if they... I mean, if they use 1.12 data, we won't have any itemization. Everything will be at 1.12 patch, like all the talents and stuff like that. So we have not enough info to say for sure what will be nerfed and buffed at certain times or patches. So Lupus was nerfed in 1.9 originally, and like in classic WoW. And so if we start, we might start on a like fake 1.3 patch state, and then they patch in the battlegrounds and the honor system and so on, while still playing on a 1.12 emulated client or something with the data, maybe. So we don't know about that. So
yeah, good points, man. So just building off that, guys. Hunter, very solo, very strong. You're a very self-reliant class. That's why I love the Hunter class so much. You're very independent. You don't need people in a group for you to take care of business. As far as technical skill, I'd put them actually as a pretty difficult class to pilot at a high level.
Yeah.
You do have a dead zone you have to manage. You have to always manage your pet, positioning of your pet and yourself. Just binding all your pet's different abilities and knowing when to use them. Also, just being able to know how and when to scatter trap and when to feign to get people off you is so big, man. It's so big because people who are really good will try and exploit that dead zone, and they'll just try and stay within that awkward range, and you're basically useless. Like if a mage is just hovering in that little range, hit you with like fire blasts and stuff, man, it's really frustrating. So, but yeah, the play style is a hunter. Very much. It's also sometimes, depending on what class you're up against, you don't want your pet to be auto-attacking him because you can potentially give him more rage or reckoning stacks or whatever, so you have to manage that as well. But yeah, what about spots in a pre-made as a hunter, guys? How do you feel about hunters in a pre-made setting?
Oh, you will always have a safe spot, if not even 2. So if you play a hunter, you are one of those classes then that can be multiple times in one single pre-made. So you should be actually fine, and they need you every time. You're just the MVP of mana drain. Doesn't matter on what battleground. You are just.
So you're saying both at Arathi and in Warsong you have 1, potentially 2 spots as hunter?
Yes.
Okay.
I mean in AB for sure too. And even in Warsong, you sometimes take 2.
How do you feel, Sorrana, as a rogue who sits in the flag room and is primarily tasked with defending that flag against the druid flag carrier? How do you feel about a hunter on Alliance defending the flag room, going stealth, their pet going stealth, as opposed to a rogue? Do you have any pros and cons there? Or?
Well, against against druid, it's not really that bad. You just don't have much to really stop or snare him for a while, but you can chase him much better than the rogue can do, and still do damage while you chase him. You don't have to be on him, obviously, because you are a ranged class and you can deal a lot of damage. If you can trap the druid with the on a flag or something, then you can destroy him right away if your gear is sick enough. And but I mean, the druid can still outplay you kind of hard with like the ice reflector and stuff. So I have seen hunters defending, not in a pre-made though, but in puck games, and they can do it quite well.
Okay, so not in a pre-made. Okay, so what do you think? I mean, we'll get into it more with the rogue, but what do you think the hunter lacks as far as potentially, taking that role on compared to a rogue? You think the rogue just has more control and offensive capabilities?
I think the hunter just excels at other roles way better than defending. It would be a waste to put him on defense just for that one druid. On field, he can excel much more in his role with mana draining multiple targets, controlling multiple targets, damaging multiple targets with like the multi-shot. He's way more useful when he has like more ground or like range where he can walk on and kite people, stuff like that, where he can just move more. Like
right.
his mobility is crucial for the class itself to play.
Absolutely, absolutely. Would it be too bold of a statement to say something like mana drain is their main utility in a pre-made setting?
In Warsong, for sure. Like it's a very, very top prio thing in a midfield fight. And otherwise, I think, yeah, you throw in multi-shots here and there, but I mean, I didn't really play a hunter myself in a pre-made, but when I played with hunters, like on my mage on horde or as rogue, the hunters are always the supportive class. So if shit hits the fan as a rogue and the druid gets the flag out, there's always that one hunter that always comes back and helps you right away. So he's like the second stage of the defense, I would say. He's so mobile, he can just feign death and mount up really quick, get out of combat, so he's never trapped somewhere. He can always disengage from the fight and go wherever he's needed.
So as a rogue on defense, do you appreciate the capabilities of a hunter? Do you think that you feel like they're really carrying their weight in a BG?
Oh yeah, it's crucial. I mean, a really good hunter is like, even before the druid comes in, the hunter is the first obstacle that the druid has to take, because a really good hunter just puts the hunter's mark on the druid if he didn't stealth early enough, or like his pet immediately, so he can never ever stealth again and cannot cross mid. So you buy a lot of time by doing that.
So you're kind of playing a flexible half defense, half offense role, depending on what the flow of the game is, right? They may call you back to help defend, or you may... You know.
Exactly, yeah, and they can do it so good just by feigning death, get out of combat instantly and mount up. It's like no other class can do that. They all have to wait 5 seconds.
So we talked about mana drain. So I'm referring to a skill called Viper Sting, and people, you know, there's a whole metagame around. You can down rank Viper Sting, but it basically will drain your mana over time, and that is oftentimes as a hunter your win condition, even in a 1v1 setting, to attrition people out by just keep applying that Viper Sting and just running away and just trying to be as annoying as possible, creating as much distance as possible and just wearing them out. Not so much potentially with how much damage you're doing to them, but just by reducing the resources they have to work with. So what about, let's see, Arathi Basin? I mean, also, in AV, Alterac Valley, one of the most satisfying things you can do as a hunter is frost trapping like 20 people. It's so fun, dude, on that freaking bridge, man. So much fun, man. But what about Arathi Basin? Maybe Taka, what's as a pre-made, you know, BG leader, what does the hunter do for you?
Well, I mean, right off, you know, out of the gates, the hunter is pretty much assisting you to call out on the opposite team who's going where, what they're attacking, and where you should focus, you know, a certain, you know, amount of people to make sure that you can counter the offense, right? So right off the bat, the hunter is vital, you know, to get as much as, you know, you can while starting the pre-made. So I say, you know, the hunter is really, really useful early on in the game. And as an alliance, I'd say that the hunter is probably even more useful on alliance side than on horde side, since
Shadowmeld,
and also you have potentially more casters on horde
on
side,
horde, right? Okay.
Yeah, so that's, you know, suddenly the hunter is even more useful. No, the damage is just crazy.
When you say they're more useful, is this primarily speaking on Viper Sting and just how much impact that's gonna have?
And also, you know, when the hunter has a good weapon, can just fucking destroy casters.
Right.
With you know, multi-shot crits and whatever. Is sick. So I'd say the hunter is I really like to have a hunter in my pre-made that knows how, you know, what what they can do, and having 2 hunters is even better. And you know, I'm the kind of guy that never says no to a hunter.
That's a great answer. Never says no to a hunter. For all the people considering playing hunter, what a statement.
Yeah.
By the way, we have 180 people in here, plus actually almost 190, almost 200. That is awesome. So thanks guys for tuning in today. Really appreciate your time. We'll try and make it worth your while. So we talked about Warsong Gulch. We talked about hunters kind of playing that flex role, offensive capabilities, defensive capabilities, sometimes coming back to help or be on offense. What about an AB? We talked about stuff like mages at the choke points, slowing people down. How do you guys see the role of a hunter in an AB? Is it are you with the death ball with the warrior going around, or are you still playing some sort of flex role in some way, or is that too general of a statement?
It's exactly what you tried to mention here with the mages. Once you see those mages of the enemy team positioning on the choke points, you need to break that somehow, right? Because obviously you don't wanna you wanna rotate fast and don't want that mage there. And what you send first is the hunter, because the hunter counters the mage really hard on range. The mage is sitting there. He can't really go somewhere else because he has to be there to control the choke point, so he has to fight there as well. He cannot just leave. And so he has to go into the fight with the hunter, and the hunter, when he's engaged, has range advantage at first. And then, like, it's most likely that the hunter wins the duel between those two. And even if he doesn't, the mage is so weak that the Zerg that is coming will just roll over him, and he can't do much to slow that rotation. So that's your number one priority if you are a hunter in like AB in the mid game. If you start, you are the most important scout that your team has. So when the gates open, you eagle eye
eagle eye
nearly.
Yes. Okay.
Yeah, if you are aligned, you eagle eye close to the farm of the horde, so you can see where the enemy team is going to, how they split up, how the enemy pre-mate is sending, how many people they are sending to mine, how many people they are sending to LM and BS, so you can adjust your setup as well to match them equally or even outplay them. And after you did that, you are most likely capping stables on Alliance side, and then maybe you anchor it. If you're only one hunter, you might anchor it, and the second hunter will take care of the mages and will join a big fight. And otherwise, I mean, if you go for the 5 cap, you just keep going on and Zerg with the team if you want to go fast.
Okay. So it does seem like, I mean, you are doing multiple roles on the battlefield, but one of the main roles you pointed out was breaking those mages who are trying to slow your team down, right? That you're kind of, you counter them, so that's the weak point you're going for as a hunter. What do you guys think?
Your pre-mate.
Sorry, go ahead.
Sorry, but your pre-mate leader should be able to adjust. If you see that those mages are fucking you up, like your team, and you are the hunter or the only hunter that is anchoring some base, then he should just adjust and put someone else in this anchor while you are taking care of the mages. I mean, you can swap anchors mid-game, it's not a big deal. And you're really important as a hunter to break that.
Yeah. And you mentioned Eagle Eye too. So for those of you who don't know who Eagle Eye is, it's an ability that hunters have that allow them to go see way off in the distance. And it seems like kind of a meme ability, but it's so cool to know that even at a super high level of PvP like what Taka and Sorrana are playing at, that it's not only viable but potentially essential. I don't know if that's too bold of a statement, but or you know, helps a lot. I don't know.
I mean, it's even more important when you're facing another pre-mate, right?
Yeah.
Because if you can't get that initial, knowledge on whereabout the enemy team is heading in a certain amount, if they're going, let's say you're playing Alliance and another team is, heavy caster based, and they're probably heading for Lumber Mill so they can slow fall down to Blacksmith and reinforce. So you know, then you have to make the call if you want to destroy the casters using a hunter and, you know, some strong healers. Because a lot of the time, the key to winning is being able to 1 versus 1 anyone, right? And even better, 2 versus 3 anyone, right? Because suddenly you have an advantage or more people on another base, and this is, you know, so making sure that you can kill any class, or at least, you know, with the support in your back, always kill every class. That's really vital. And yeah, so I mean, dueling is not really BG thing, but of course, knowing how to kill any class 1 versus 1 is vital. Right?
Yep.
And I mean, you are one of those classes that actually can pull that off. I think I have seen 2 or 3 duel tournaments on Nost back then, and every of those was won by a hunter. Everyone.
You have to keep in mind, in a duel too, you have to keep in mind that it's not the ideal scenario for a hunter, like being confined within a certain radius, right? As a hunter, you want to be able to exploit the entire zone you're in. But anyway, sorry, go on.
Yep. Yep. No, it was exactly what you say. Yeah, but even there, in this like small ranged area, there was always a hunter winning the duel tournament. It was very close to rogue and mage at the end, but he always won. Like, hunters always win duels, so that shows that people actually can pull it off if you are a hunter, that you can win nearly against anything and everything. And that's what makes you so strong in Battlegrounds as well. It shifts a little bit from like pure damage to like more like a supportive DPS role, but you're still so very important for the whole team that it is that actually people who play Hunter are really appreciated.
Right. Right. Good to know, because people, this is one thing I'll talk about, right? So, hunters, man, hunters get a lot of flack because people always hear this stuff thrown out there. Hunters fall off, hunters fall off, hunters fall off. You know, as vanilla progresses, hunters fall off. They're talking mainly about PvE and stuff, right? I've heard for some people, like even Perplexity was saying this one time. I heard this kind of vicariously through another person. But he was saying that, you know, hunters actually kind of do... actually get stronger as vanilla progresses within a certain line of reasoning. Just something about the health pools increasing versus whatever comparatively to rogues or whatever else. But what I'll say is that in PvP, hunters are awesome, man. I guess that was my point. My main point is that in PvP, hunters are awesome. You are appreciated. You're not falling off, and it's a big draw for hunters because people can often get scared off thinking, man, I'm not really going to be topping the meters or whatever. Just something to think about. So the other thing also, let's talk about 1v1 matchups. Let me think about, and again, I'm not some super pro player like Taka and Sorrana, but from my perspective as someone who's played Hunter 3 times over, I do well against rogues. Sorrana might have a different opinion on that, but I do pretty good against rogues. Maybe just because I hate rogues killing me that I've learned the matchup pretty well. But I do pretty good against rogues. I do pretty good against warriors too. The general flow of combat as a hunter is you get opened on sometimes, and you're trying to survive that opener and trying to get him in a trap. You're trying to create that distance from him, and then you just start kiting him like crazy as best you can. Do you do well versus Hunter, Sorrana?
No, not at all.
Not at all.
Hunters
okay,
are,
I'm glad I'm not crazy.
pure 8s for rogues. The only thing you really have as a rogue against a hunter is Skull. If you don't have, like, if Skull of Impending Doom and your Frost Reflector is like letting you down, then hunters just destroying you. The problem is, like in later game, like you said, they get so strong in PvP because they obviously they are using mail armor, so they are really heavy. You cannot hit them hard with your little daggers or even swords. And they have so much stamina that they can even tank it. They're like really good hunters. The only tool I have, like I said, is Skull of Impending Doom. And really good hunters, if they notice I use Skull, because I have to preemptively like use it, I have to predict it because I want to avoid the trap and the scatter shot. So I have to use it before they know it happened. So they just wait. And if I use it, they just tank it out. It's insane. Like they have enough, the health pool is big enough to tank the whole rogue damage. And after the skull is down, they just scatter ice trap, and then they do their whole rotation. And you are so squishy as a rogue that there's nearly no chance of winning that.
Right, right. So I would say
someone is typing in the chat as well. When you're a warrior, you know, and that hunter is getting some range on you, it's very, very undervalued. And I see many warriors make the mistake to not go on the shield. Right? You can mitigate so much damage using a shield. And when the hunter has range on you and you're not doing anything, put on that shield, get that shield block up, get ready for maybe disarming him and whatever, and you know, be smart.
Yep.
Yeah.
So hunters are cool, man. Hunters are really fun. They're really fun, flavorful play style. Definitely higher skill cap in my opinion. Do you guys have an opinion on what rank they need to be to get full PvP bis?
Well, if you really try hard in like at the biz lists, you go 14, because the swords they are actually what I heard of is like 1 or 2 DPS and like a little bit of those stats higher than the best like the good weapons that you can get until Nax, like throughout BWL and AQ. But most people, like the rank 14 crossbow and bows and stuff, like ranged weapons, they are totally useless and shit. You will never want to go for 14 as a hunter to use those. Only for the melee weapons. And only for the melee weapons, because they are the stats are just so good on those weapons. So if you want to save 4 weeks of your precious life, then you just go rank 13, like most of the hunters do. Because you can get nearly equal weapons from PvE, like as for the stat purposes, and like your melee weapons, and you have to go PvE to get your bis ranged weapon, crossbows or like something like that. So that you will never find anything better than PvE ranged weapons for your class.
Right. So 14 would be ideal, right? But it's not the end of the world, right? 13.
Yeah, if you really try hard, yeah. It's the margin is so little. It's really just in the single-digit number.
They look
range.
cool though, man. The ranged weapons, the rank 14 ranged weapons look sweet. How about you, Taka? As a warrior, how do you fare against hunters out in an open world? Let's say it's 1v1 and you're meeting Stranglethorn Vale and you get the charge off on a hunter. Is he fucked, or does he can
yeah, he's fucked.
He's fucked. Okay.
He's fucked.
He's fucked because it's Takanashi. I actually usually do quite well.
I'm not gonna give away how a hunter will beat a warrior. You just have to figure that shit out.
Top secret.
Yep,
yeah.
That's some top secret.
So
shit.
Some of the classes that I struggle with as a hunter, man, is I have to say the number one that comes to mind is a warlock. I fucking hate warlocks, and that's maybe why I'm playing warlock. Maybe that's why I'm in a main warlock in classic. I don't know, but warlocks just hand you a fat L. Oftentimes, you don't really have a dispel option to get rid of their bubble. They can fucking double sack their void walkers. So annoying. They're one of the few classes out in the open world, even while leveling, that can put up a pretty hard fight, man. Especially if you factor in health stones, soul stones. You finally kill their ass, and they pop back up with freaking 50% health and finish you off. Like, yeah, it happens. So, let me see. Did we miss anything with Hunter? We'll try and... You're right, Taka. The time was gonna breeze by. I've only done one. You're right, man. So, dueling, they're good. Gearing, okay. I think we covered Hunter. Let's move on, guys. So, we have over 200 people in here, man. This may be an all-time high right now for our Classic WoW PvP workshop. So, thank you so much, guys.
I just have to say... This is something, what you said, I hear from a lot of hunters. They hate warlocks. Yeah. That's their probably one of the classes that they... I mean, even if you win, you lose, right?
Mm.
It's just... The damage is just fucking sick, and, you know, yeah.
Warlocks are just sick.
Pretty strong. Yeah.
So sick. Alright, so we're going to move on to Warlock. Oh, speak of the devil. There they are. Speak of the demons. Warlock, man. I'm playing Warlock in Classic. I don't know what you guys are playing in Classic right now. If you have a second, anyone, just show us that you're conscious right now in the chat, man. Put in what you're going to main for Classic. I want to see what the class distribution's looking like here in the chat. What are you guys going to play? But anyway, we can start off. Warlock overview. Let's think.
Damn.
Oh, okay, so
That's like the master warlock right there.
Gul'dan himself, baby. So from my perspective, I'm a warlock enthusiast to the point where I'm going to main warlock. I've mained hunter 3 times in a vanilla environment, and I'm going to main warlock, or at least attempt to. I think warlocks are just the bee's knees, man. I think everything that I want to accomplish in the game, warlocks accomplish so easily, man. From a PvP perspective, you don't need rank 14, right? Correct me if I'm wrong here, but I think you just need like rank 8 or something to get everything that you need. Super strong, self-reliant, independent, out in the open world, fucking kids up left and right, handing L's out left and right. Great versatility in the BGs. You can go Destro, you can go Soul Link potentially, you can go Affliction, you know, high damage. So the playstyle is a warlock, and just feel free, you guys, just jump in anytime that I'm saying something retarded, because I am sunned by these guys. These guys have actually done it. Highest I ever got was rank 8. But the your playstyle as a warlock is you're kind of more of a turret. So some people prefer this really high finesse style of gameplay where they're moving around, they're weaving in and out of range, they're blinking left and right. They're like Sorrana as a rogue, he's resetting. Warlocks is very much a turret style of gameplay. You're staying, you don't really have many mobility options on the table, right? So but as far as turreting and standing your ground and taking up a defensive position goes, warlocks are second to none, man. They're so strong. It's like,
I mean, when you have players that are really sick playing warlocks, like we play with this this guy called Koru, and I know that this guy can produce some sick damage. So instead of because you know the warrior is depending on you know, stackings on rage and whatever, getting some you know preparation done before you can really do insane amounts of damage. But the warlock just fucking, you know what I mean? And people talking about chamois being a, you know, really high threat. So what I did was that I made sure that this guy was never bothered, you know. So as much as I can, I give him free casting, cleared the path. So this guy just blew everything up that was in front of him, you know what I mean? Shit just got deleted, and then you're running around and suddenly there's only like three enemies standing next to you, and the rest is just fucking gone. So I mean, you know, warlocks are pretty sick, like you say. It's just this missile tower, and if you give them the chance to free cast, they are, yeah, they're really sick.
And they have multiple options on the table, right? I can just talk all day about warlock. I fucking love warlocks. They have access to probably the highest burst in both PvE, like the highest single damage dealing abilities in both PvE and PvP. I think are warlocks, right? I'd say it's Curse of Doom in PvE and probably Soulfire in PvP, unless you guys can think of something else. The other thing, 1v1, most people will tell you, if you ask them what the most cancer thing to fight is, 1v1 is they're going to tell you Soul Link Warlock. Now, as we've discussed in past shows, Sorrana and Takanashi have said that Soul Link Warlocks, oftentimes they're so durable, but they don't pose that much of an offensive threat from the perspective of like a really high tempo perspective. So you can often just ignore them. So that niche as a Soul Link Warlock, unfortunately, isn't as strong in a pre-made environment. But as far as a 1v1, like, you know, 1v1 duel type setting, Soul Link Warlocks are the baddest motherfuckers out. So you have access to this like really attrition style gameplay where you're rotting people away, throwing up AIDS and fucking STDs everywhere. You also have this high, you know, like Sorrana was saying a few episodes ago, you can just be free casting shadow bolts, just deleting kids left and right, just you know, in midfield. So there is some versatility with what they can do. And then you even mentioned a few weeks ago too that one of the strongest comps you ever played against in a pre-made was that caster cleave where they had Shadow Priest, Warlocks, which is potentially not the meta, not the usual meta, right? Not the usual meta, and that had some advantages to it.
Yeah, but that's the beauty about vanilla, right? There's no, I mean, of course there is a meta, but when people tell you that this is how you should play, and everyone plays that same way, and you find a hard counter for all those pre-mates, then you know who's the meta, right? The guy or the pre-mate. I mean, winning all the games is obviously the smartest kid on the block, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So let's.
So warlocks from my perspective, like SM Ruin is really the PvP spec you go for in like battlegrounds and pre-mates, and that's the hard casting spec especially. So like really dotting stuff is not what you need in battlegrounds, because it's just too slow of a damage deal that you can do quick plays and necessary plays right away. So yeah, what Taka said, you really want to protect your warlock. If you're in alliance, the paladins are just trained on him to give him the melee bubble. He will carry a lot of lip potions just to save himself if needed from the enemy melees. And what you really have to care about is his pet, because like the Fell Hunter is such a big thing in his toolkit. The Fell Hunter can dispel himself or friendlies every time. It can just chase someone to eternity. You have the stealth detection, paranoia buff on your group.
Pretty decent damage too, man.
Yeah, it's insane, and you can nearly like killing it is just not worth it as a melee, because the attack power debuff it gives you is just insane. So it's so hard dealing with that pet, and it's like a little two-man army if you protect him right.
Yeah.
So warlock is really hard, and even in duels people play this spec, because just you can just delete someone so fast once you get the little time that you need of them. So Soul Link is like a little. It's I would even consider it like a little meme spec. You take it only for a few classes in a few duels, like maybe warrior, maybe rogue, something like that, and everything else I think you can just deal fine with the normal battleground and world PvP spec. In case of gearing, I would say the majority of people go for the 2-set bonus on the blue set, because it's spell damage, I think, and when it's buffed you have a little bit spell hit on it, and everyone who's going hard in PvP wants to hit rank 13, because updated rank 13 set is really nice from all the stats, and of course you have a lot more stamina on the whole epic set.
Oh, so you think rank 13 for Warlock is actually ideal?
Yeah, if you want to go hard PvP, and I think even in PvE it excels at the end. It's better than the blue set, what you can get from what I know, but I'm not really hard into Warlock. But for sure I can say that there's no use for Warlock to go for 14.
14.
Because the BWL weapon, like the Staff of Nefarin, for example, or like Claw of Chromagus, whatever you can put your hands on, is way better than any rank 14 weapon that you can get.
Yeah.
At that point. Yeah.
So I mean, strengths and weaknesses. Man, it's hard to. I'm trying to think of their weaknesses, man. I have a hard time because I love Warlock so much, dude.
They are really squishy.
Yeah.
Unless they're Soul Link, homie, and they got like so much health, and it's sort of like, well, the good thing about too, we've talked about this so many times, right? And vanilla, well, this is one thing that's kind of unfortunate about vanilla too, Sorrana. You were saying that PvP activity falls off immensely once Nax comes out, right? Because it's no longer a real incentive to do it, right?
Yeah.
Like,
I think I cannot think of one moment where Soul Link would be useful, other than a duel like a certain class like Rogue.
Okay, so you're actually kind of against Soul Link. I got you. Maybe I'm too enthusiastic about it, but but spell damage tends to outclass physical damage. Shots fired to all the physical damage dealers. As we get further and further into vanilla, the health pools just start to increase, and the physical damage tends to have an edge early on in vanilla, and the spell damage tends to shine later. So play a Warlock, man. You're like a fine wine, man. You just get better. You just get better with age.
And still warriors do the most damage through the whole game.
Through the whole game. Oh man. Yeah. So okay. So what do you see the warlock's role in both Warsong and Arathi base? Maybe we can start with Warsong. First of all, in your pre-made, are you taking a warlock, or maybe in your composition, no?
Yes, sir.
Yes,
Every
sir.
time.
Every time.
Yeah.
Why?
DPS, pure DPS.
Yes.
It's
So
insane.
is it shadow bolts, conflagrates, stuff like that? Both.
Yep, exactly.
Okay.
Searing Pain, stuff like that. Like the pet on Druid, again, like same as the Hunter. You can hand out health stones, even soul stones to your Druid in the battleground. Yeah, just little things like that. I mean, it's so insane what they can delete with Berserker buff in Warsong, especially, and even in AB. If you put them on blacksmith fight, they can just line of sight the other casters on the blacksmith there, on the little house, that they can just free cast on the melee stat charge into your team and delete them right away. It's insane. I mean, and don't forget the Curse of Tongues. Curse of Tongues is just 8s for everything that is casting on the enemy team. So they just throw Curse of Tongues everywhere, left and right, and then they start casting and deleting people. And because you're cursed, you cannot heal them fast enough to rescue them, unless your team's really on point and is like the mages are decursing.
And Curse of Tongues is the one that reduces the casting speed, right?
Exactly. Yes.
Decreasing.
Decreases.
Yeah. And
So, I mean, in your opinion, do you think we talk about Horde? I mean, you play Alliance, both of you play Alliance, and probably the person on Horde that, if left alone, would be the biggest threat in terms of deleting people would be an Elemental Shaman. Is Warlock the equivalent for Alliance, or maybe is that another class?
You want us to say Retri Palace, or?
I don't know, man. Like,
is this a trick question?
who do you not want free casting? If you're Horde looking at an Alliance team, I'm wondering.
Warlock.
Warlock.
Yeah.
okay, I gotcha.
But
Warlock.
it's the same for Alliance, because you can't do much about the Shaman. The Shaman is just, the lightning is so much faster than like the Shadow Bolt, and then he's just nature swiftness the chain lightning into it, and there's nothing you can do.
I see. I gotcha. Okay. Okay, let's talk about so all right. So just to recap. So Warsong, are you're midfield trying to free cast at people, trying to delete people as they're moving to and fro? I assume your strength as a warlock is not mobility, right? So it's not like you can be like a hunter and play that flex role and go back on defense and offense so much. Are you you know?
Yeah, you're pretty much bound to the mid fight. But at some points, when your like rogue has really big trouble with handling the druid, you can even send the warlock to support into the flag room, because the druids cannot really get rid of the fear. Even if he has the insignia, you can like with Death Coil and your pet, you can help a lot by dispelling the fab and just bind him into the flag room. Like,
wow.
Even if he has the insignia, or like the Mithril insignia, I mean, the blacksmith.
Dispelling the FAP with your pet?
Yeah.
That's insane.
Yep,
oh my.
the Fell Hunter can eat it.
Best class.
I mean, if the druid is really good, he's using a lot of trash buffs to, or like hots to protect it, because it's totally RNG. Like on Gar and MC, it's totally RNG as well. What buff gets eaten by the pet?
Yeah.
Or dispelled?
There's Dispel Magic, or what is it called? Eat Magic or something? It's called something weird. Does that have a cooldown? Let me try to remember.
Yeah, it has a cooldown.
It
yeah.
does, right?
I don't know how much.
Yeah, it's called Fell Hunter. Anyway, I'll look it up later. But alright, so alright, that's War on the Blacksmith. Are you just following Taka around as the warrior?
Yeah, so in the initial fight, until the big fights are until they are won or lost, basically. That's where you stick with the big Zerg and deal the DPS your team needs. And after that, you are a really good anchor, because you have a pet.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, that's basically it. So you destroy and anchor, maybe.
Okay. You destroy and maybe anchor. Because again, like we said, Warlock's one of the least mobile classes, so stuff like an anchoring position might be more natural than attempting to move around the map to and fro. Alright. As a warrior, Taka, okay, so we already know that you destroy hunters out in the open world. But let's say you get a charge off on a warlock. Can you take him out, or do you think that they...
He's dead. He's dead on arrival, motherfucker.
It's because you can get out of his fears? Is that the main thing? Or
what fear? He's not even gonna have time to... If he's trying to fear me, he's already dead before that pushback is finished.
Okay. So you fare quite well versus warlocks in your experience.
I mean, the thing with warlocks is that, of course, you can be a soul link, right?
Yeah.
You can stack a lot of stamina, whatever.
Mm-hmm.
But the thing is that they're very, very squishy. So as a warrior, I mean, I'd say that it's harder to beat a warlock in a world PvP situation than in a pre-made.
Harder?
Because, yeah, harder.
Okay,
because
okay.
most warlocks might be using succubus in world PvP. And if they get that shit off, then, you know, it's very hard to beat them. Because I'm not running around with the, what you call the Skull of Impending Doom or whatever. But yeah, I'd say that it is much easier to beat them in a pre-made or a BG. I have never. Only time I got killed by a warlock was when we played on Astarius, and there were like 12 to 13,000 people online, and you were like chopping at him, but in reality he was like 20 yards away from you, right?
Wow.
That's the only time I ever lost against a warlock. They're just too squishy. Yeah.
Well, so it's interesting though. You bring up the idea of having a succubus out. That's something that I don't think about too often. How do you feel about having a succubus out, Sorrana? Do you think that you would be at an advantage or a disadvantage if the warlock is rolling with a succubus instead of a voidwalker, which I would assume might be better against a rogue with the sack? I mean, is that going to actually fuck you up at all, having the charm effect?
Yeah, no, not at all. Because my PvP trinket can break it, and even like Skull of Impending Doom can break it. So I have a big window of where the succubus is just totally useless.
Okay.
I can even blind it. It's way better because of the shield that you can even take when you are in stun, for example.
Right, the sack. And most of the time you're going to have a Voidwalker out as a Warlock because you're going to be using it to tank stuff for you anyway, and you're going to be going about your business, and the sack is definitely multifaceted. So that's interesting.
Like Succubus is a thing of 2004, I think, where all the Drake Dog movies came and people had to deal with the Succubus. But I think these days, like now, the Voidwalker came a lot back into the game, and of course the Fell Hunter in the battlegrounds.
Okay, gotcha. So we talked about what rank. Talked about that ties into gearing. Solo, quite strong. Strengths and weaknesses. Mobility is a big weakness. Strengths, lots of utility. High damage. Multiple versatile playstyles.
I'll say high skill cap on the wall.
High skill cap. I've heard that a lot. People toss that nugget out a lot, saying it's a very hard class to play at a high level.
What about the oh shit buttons? Maybe Death Coil, Healthstone.
Yeah.
Something
you
like
have
that.
A couple of nice tools as a warlock.
What about the what was the there is this spellstone, and if you use the spellstone or equip it in the offhand, it can dispel magic effects, right? That's really strong as well.
Is that working as intended though? I don't even. It doesn't say that on the thing though, does it?
It does. It does. The better spellstone. Like you can use it on your weapon, or you can equip it and use it from there as an unused item, and it eats a magic effect, I think, or reflects stuff.
Okay, that does sound that's ringing a bell, yeah. So not only do you have oh shit buttons as a warlock, you have an after shit button in the form of the soulstone. You fucking die and you come back to life, man. So
it's true.
So yeah, that's
soulstones.
It's nutter butters, dude. It's nutter butters. Yeah, so you got the Voidwalker sack.
So Spellstone says,
Spellstone.
like the tooltip says, it improves your critical strike with 1% if you equip it. And if you use it, it removes all magic effects from the caster and will absorb 400 magic damage for 1 minute. And that's the normal Spellstone at level 36. I think there's even a higher level one that does more.
Now,
it has a cooldown of 3 minutes, but you use it in offhand. Yeah.
It's in your offhand, right? I wonder, does it share cooldown? It doesn't. Does it share cooldown with like Skull and stuff? I wonder.
I don't think it shouldn't. Like Skull is not sharing cooldown with anything because it's a on-use item, basically, like an offhand. I could think of that it shares cooldown with like the health stones, maybe. That could be possible. I don't know.
Okay, gotcha. All right, so I think we covered everything with Warlock. Let's think. Any final thoughts? Spots in a pre-made? We talked about everything. Dueling. They're awesome, man. Just play Warlocks, dude. Warlock for the win. All right, next class up. Let's go. Priest. I know nothing about Priest. This will be fun. All right. Taka knows a lot about Priest. You played a Priest for a while, right? Rank 13 or something? Or maybe I'm mistaken. You did play a Priest for a while, though.
Oh, yeah. I ranked it to... for the mount on rank 11, but yeah.
Okay.
It was, yeah.
Gotcha. How would you overview the Priest strengths and weaknesses in PvP?
Well, I mean, it of course comes down to some shit regarding exactly how things will work come Classic, but I mean, I'd say it's very strong against most classes as a priest. Definitely one of the strongest classes in game. And if you play Shadow Priest, you're really strong 1 versus 1.
Right. Yeah. Right. Another weakness, just to piggyback off that, it's another class that suffers from a lack of mobility, right? But Shadow Priests, very strong duelers, right? And their main issue, correct me if I'm wrong here, is just mana. Like they just rip through the mana so quick. But super strong, lots of control.
Yeah. Really easy to level. Even in the earlier levels, if you get your hands on the wand and you spec into this what is it?
Wand specialization.
Yeah, the wand spec. Yep.
Yeah, plus the region thingy from the shadow tree. Whenever you deal the death blow to a target that yields you honor or XP, you get the spirit tap, and you're basically never out of mana. You don't have to take any breaks.
What you'll do is that if you get a nice wand, you'll spec into the wand specialization first, and if you don't, you should probably go into spirit tap first, right? But I mean, yeah, I don't know. People say that it's hard and boring to level a priest. I have to disagree.
Okay.
Strongly. I say, like, it's very fun, and you can AoE grind pretty early if you got, you don't get greedy, and you get the timing down, and just, using your casts and, rotate them, and using like Shadow Ward Pain to finish off mobs, and then wand. I don't know. I mean, of course, it's kind of like leveling a warlock. You do the same thing over and over and over, but I'd say it's pretty effective. But I mean, I played a priest a lot, so maybe I'm not really thinking about the boring parts, but yeah, I really enjoy playing a priest, and yeah.
Yeah, I think Priest is great too. That was actually the first character I ever played back in classic retail, but back then I had no idea how it worked with the wanding and stuff, so I lost interest pretty quick at level 30 or something.
Yeah.
But I think these days I'm really respecting good priest players because they have so many keybinds. It's sick. Like, people have keybinds for all the down ranking heals they have. for all the dispels. They macro certain peoples with dispels. They have like the self-targeting and the enemy targeting, and like all the shieldings and stuff. It's so sick what they do on the field, and they have to take care of so much because they can be played offensive and defensive in both ways, even though like in both specs, even like in Shadow or Disc or Holy.
So explain to me. Okay,
strong.
At a high level, I mean, what spec are priests playing as? Is it Disc? Is it Holy? Is it Shadow? What's going on in your specific pre-made comps that you have the most experience with?
You start as a Disc priest when your gear is weak. And that's why that's because you have like the shielding advantage, and you have like a PI for your shamans or warlocks, for all the casters. So you can be way better off with Disc if your gear is not that much, but once you get really good gear with like plus healing and more stamina, you can respec to Holy, and that's what's mana effective. So we had like this one Holy priest in my Horde premate, which is still playing premates like every day nearly, which is called Asmi. And this guy is, you have no idea what this guy as a Holy priest can heal, and with his mana pool. It's totally insane. Like the heals are way bigger. The mana is just insane. Like there's not much mana consumption, and he can still survive against incoming DPS with his gear.
Would you say that priest is one of the highest skill cap classes?
I never played one, but I think these people have to multitask a lot. If you're one of those guys that can multitask a lot, I think priest can be your class.
Yeah.
Okay.
Like we said, I don't know, but it never gets old. I mean, your prioritize targets for dispelling. Try to keybind them on shit like, mouse scroll up and down. You can just do that while running, and you don't have to think about it. Just do it all the time, because if they don't have anything on them, you're not using a glow ball and you're not using mana, right?
Right.
Also, I would say putting your raid frames on the left or on the right of your character. I see a lot of people have their raid frames beneath their character, and I would say that's not really effective, because your arm moves the slowest backwards. I don't know why, but it's just a simple, physics. When you're pulling your arm backwards, it can never get as slow as it does moving backwards. So left, right, forward, whatever, but left, right is the quickest.
Gotcha.
Just to make sure you can, swap around your heal targets, or yeah.
So, how do priests do out in the open world PvP? Let's talk about that for a second. We don't spend too long on it, but I leveled a priest before, and I felt a bit weak out in the open world. I don't know. There's a high possibility I was playing it incorrectly, but I felt if a warrior just got a charge off on me, I was fucking toast. I mean, we have to focus on leveling too much, but Taka, how do you think priests do out in the open world?
I mean, I like priests. I feel any healing class is pretty strong in while leveling or open world, because I mean, just being able to heal yourself is pretty, that's a good place to be. I would say that I was not getting ganked a lot on my priest while running around alone. And the only thing is that you have to just, don't stress and don't get nervous. You're a strong class, and make sure you use your abilities correctly, and just don't spam heals because you think that you're gonna die. Just
I think downranking is a big thing, right? On priest, you want to have multiple ranks of your heals because of the mana efficiency of certain stuff, and I think you most likely never use greater heal because like the mana heal ratio is just so way off that you could use two normal heals, like heal spell, and would heal more for less mana.
This ties into oh shit buttons, but okay, as a priest, what oh shit buttons do I have? I feel like as a healer, sometimes you feel pretty susceptible. Sometimes people are trying to focus you down, right? In the pre-made, right, Taka? You're probably focusing the healers, trying to take them out of the environment first. But as a priest, you don't have stuff like a bubble or something like what a paladin would have. Are priests very squishy in the BGs? Is that a big concern? I mean, is that maybe the person you're trying to help peel for as much as possible?
I mean, you have the. It's very, very underrated to stack armor as a priest. You know,
okay.
Because the priest has some armor increasing abilities, which makes it, you know, so stacking armor makes you even stronger, right? And you have the shield that absorbs some damage, and then you have the fear to get a breather against you know, certain classes. And I mean, as an undead priest, it's even stronger with the fear, right? Because most classes that's gonna be on you is rogues maybe and warriors, and they only have one, you know, way to get out of fear. And even if I don't want to say it, you know, most warriors are stupid and they're gonna pop Circle Rage just because it's on cooldown, and then you can, you know, you can dispel and you can wait it out and whatever, and you just fear them after and look them, you know, run away.
Okay, so you do have some stuff. I guess the fear bomb is a big thing. Psychic Scream, really part of their bread and butter of their kit. How do you do Sorrana versus a priest in a 1v1 situation? And what kind of priest do? What kind of priest do?
Yeah, I mean, against, yeah, again, it doesn't really matter if it's against Shadow or Holy. Shadow is a
Dwarf priest, let's say.
Dwarf priest.
Yeah, I mean, Dwarf priest doesn't really affect me that much. I mean, yeah, he can get out of blinds, and he has something to remove the poisons. But like his fear ward isn't doing anything for him against the rogue. So basically, the worst thing against priest is the second fear if you are alliance, or the third fear on horde, because you only have this one PvP trinket to break it. As a rogue on alliance, and on horde you have the undead racial for the second oh shit fear, basically. So the priest has to play around this on the rogue. And the bad thing about shadow priests at that point is that the shadow ward pain is just ticking a lot higher, and it has the chance to proc blackout, and blackout is just so OP because it can proc from everything that's shadow. Even the troll racial, like those bubbles around him that looks like electric shield or something, it is actually it's shadow bubbles. So when you hit him,
the shadow guard, yes, the troll thing,
yeah.
Right? Yes, dude.
If you hit him, it can proc blackout if he has it spec'd as a rogue. So it's totally insane. And once you get blackout off, it's like the little fear that can give him the advantage to make some space between you, and then he's just running basically. And the dot is just so much damage that he could entirely kill you with the dot. And if he has like the little more time, he gets off the mind flay or the what is it? Shadow word.
Death. Shadow word pain. Shadow word. They don't have death
no,
in vanilla. So.
I just forgot the name of the hardcast of the Shadow Priest, but
Mind Blast.
Mind Blast, yeah.
Yeah. So he's just nuking you with that, and when this one crits, you're probably basically dead. And against Disc and Holy Priest, what all they do is just tanking you until the second fear, and after the second fear, they keep the dot on you and try to just out tank you
But with them, you don't have to deal with blackout, right? If you're dealing with holy and
that's true. That's true.
So
yeah.
would you say you have a harder time against shadow, or?
Not really, because the shadow has to leave if he wants to heal, he has to leave his shadow form. So once he gets into that trouble,
race, but that's it. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Once he gets into that trouble that he has to heal himself, you are in the advantage, but that rarely happens. And once priest gets around rank 10 with the full blue set, they have so much stamina and armor with like the inner fire that your big hits as a rogue aren't that big anymore. If like disc priest and holy priest, I mean even shadow priest, if they get the BWL trinket, the class priest trinket, they heal themselves for like I think 30 per hit. So if you're a dagger rogue, you're just healing them or nearly more. You pull them off, and it stacks up armor, I think. So it's so sick.
So what would you say?
So you have
two equal skill level players. Is it a favorable matchup or unfavorable versus priest? Not definitive, you know. It's just, you know,
unfavorable for the rogue.
Unfavorable for the rogue. Okay, I would not expect that. That's cool. That's cool to know. How about you, Taka? Favorable or unfavorable as a warrior going up against a priest? 1v1, no group, no pre-made, outside Ironforge, mano y mano.
Well, it's gonna be interesting to see exactly how it works on Classic, because a lot of shit was broken on the private servers. And I mean on Ostarius you couldn't even interrupt channel spells.
Well, let's say so on private servers right now, just food for thought.
Yeah, I mean it's a very fast fight, so you're depending on crits. And it's really hard to get through their fucking healing themselves with the embrace and bubbles from the start. But I think it's easier to kill a shadow priest on alliance than on horde.
Maybe due to the blackout thing and the shadow guard, or
also you have like devouring plague is insane.
True. Yeah, some more healing there, right?
It costs a lot of mana, but. Yeah.
In a short tempo based fight like that, yeah, it's totally worth using on a warrior. Just real quick, big thanks to Cladiz for the donation and Twitch. Thank you very much for the 100 bits. Really appreciate your support over the weeks. All right, so we talked about we didn't get into BG roles yet. We talked about duel and we talked about world PvP. So let's talk about BG roles. Warsong. I mean, so you guys once told me, it was one of you, that in your opinion you think priests are the strongest healers in a pre-made. Is that incorrect?
I think we both said that.
Okay.
I think we both. Yeah.
Okay.
We agree on that.
And why is that? In a nutshell.
Just such a versatile class. You can AoE heal. You have strong similar target heals. I mean, you have many heals. You have the shield, renew. To get something going, and you can start down ranking. You have fast direct heals, you have slow high heals. It's a very, very versatile healing class.
Okay, and do you think the healing output is higher too? Like, why would you not just have a paladin instead?
Well, the paladin is really strong single target healer, right? But I'd say that the longer the fight progresses, the priest becomes stronger and stronger than the paladin. Also.
Yeah, and even like with the shield, right? You have this little. I mean, it's not kind of an instant heal, but throwing a shield is much faster than hardcasting any flash heal, and it still saves the one that receives it. So it just buys you some time, and I have seen so many druids at 1% just pulling off me because they got that one last shield from the priest that was nearly and it's so frustrating if you see things like that. And I mean, he doesn't have to stop to heal. He gives you the renew, he shields you, and then you just keep going all the time and healing over time. It's just that he can save himself some global cooldowns for really important stuff. And once you talk about Warsong, you have no idea how big of a value that fear bomb is that the priest has. Because I have seen it so many times that you have the druid trapped in midfield. He's nearly dying, and they want to hand over the flag, obviously, because the druid is dying. So the team that is supporting him wants to pick up the flag before you click it, so they can carry it on. And once everyone of your team is zerging the druid every melee that could click the flag, they just run in, fear bomb everyone, and then the druid clicks off the flag before he dies. So everyone of your team is feared, and before you can just press the trinket or the racial or whatever, they have given over the flag, and they have a 100% flag carry going while the druid dies, and you did basically nothing.
Wow, so you can make big plays with it. But warriors have it too. Is it just the cooldown? I guess the cooldown is so short that it's just such a impact all the time. You have to always
exactly. Yeah. And the one target that the warrior has targeted while fearing, that damage is breaking the fear. Everyone else will stay. But on the priest, you can be sure that 1 or 2 seconds you need to hand over the flag, no one will get out, basically.
Gotcha.
I mean, a lot of the time, when I play my priest back in vanilla, it's like, you know, when you're almost winning a game, let's say it's 2-0, and the opposite team starts to turtle, right? Mm-hmm. And it's hard for the druid to get it out. Maybe the mage is trying to help the druid to get it out, but still they can't get it out. So, you know, the priest joining is just insane. You have the frost nova and shit from the mage, maybe, to get out, but then the druid, you know, waiting outside, and the priest can pretty much dispel anything on the mage, and he can fair bomb and just keep the mage alive, so he doesn't have to use, you know, unnecessary cooldowns. It's just those three classes together trying to get the flag out and running the flag is amazing.
Okay. Also, one other nugget I want to throw out there is that I've heard you hear this thrown out around a lot, this little nugget, and it's that priests are the most offensive healers. Do you think that's true?
Yeah.
I mean, shamans have stuff like Purge too, so they might be maybe more offensive than priests, but that's on the horde side. I'm not sure. Or do you still think priests maybe? And if you do agree, why are they most offensive?
I mean, the thing, I played Discipline Priest in like TBC as well, and Wrath of Lich King as well. So I mean, the thing with the priest is that not only can you keep people alive, but at the same time you can fuck their healers, and you can keep, you know, or kill the DPS or whatever, because it's so strong to be able to run while healing someone, running to their healer, and at that critical second get that fear out, mind control them, and, you know, the DPS is dead. You have so many things that you can do to, you know, fuck their game up, which is just, you know, if you as a priest are allowed to play your game, you know, it's so much fun. It's amazing. Yeah.
Yep. Almost 250 viewers, by the way, guys. This is a new first for us, so thank you everyone for tuning in.
Maybe I should take off my clothes and show my ass.
Dude, we might hit 1,000 viewers if you do that, dude.
Jeez.
Let's rename the stream.
By the way, if you want Kargoz to get the Warrior Masterclass Part 3 ready, you have to make sure that you send him personal message in Discord of an hairy ass.
I've gotten quite a few hairy asses, yes. We're working on it. I'm standing by waiting for those hairy ass pictures. All right, so did we cover everything? Okay, last thing. What rank are you going for with Priest? And we'll move on to the next one. We got a lot of people in here. Gotta make sure we give them some good value here. What rank are you going for? Is it 14? You going the whole 9 yards, or?
I mean, are you talking about Shadow Priest, or?
We're talking about all of them, baby. All of them.
All of them. I mean, I would go 13, right?
13.
Yeah, the majority of people go 13 if they are hardcore PvPers, because set is really sick and it has so much plus heal and plus spell damage.
Armor.
Stamina, armor.
The
Yeah.
armor is sick. Yeah.
But I have to say, on private servers, the real hardcore priest players even go for 14, because there's obviously you have no good caster weapons on rank 14, but the stuff is actually pretty good at the beginning, because if the ranking system releases right where the server releases, like the private server did, then you can start ranking from like while leveling, and you will hit rank 14 so early that you're still in MC progression, and BWL is not even released. There's nothing else in MC that is close to that stuff with like healing, and even I think even as a Shadow Priest with spell damaging. And it has so much stamina and shit that it is really worth going for it, because you can use it throughout MC and BWL patch. You will maybe replace it by then with Lukamir later on, if your guild gives it to you on
That's
BWL.
the problem, right? With,
so you will replace it quickly, but it could be worth.
So you're saying really potentially at what stage of vanilla you're in is going to dictate, right?
And
like
especially on Alliance, because probably Lukamir, I don't know about Shamis, you guys have to tell me, but on Alliance side, most of the time Lukamir goes to Paladins before Priest, which is, and also, I mean, I don't know how many times we killed Nefarian in vanilla, but probably, more than 100 times. And I saw Lukamir drop once.
Damn, dude.
One fucking time, yeah. So I don't know how rare it is.
So it's the type of thing where if you're rank 13, man, you already have the infrastructure potentially to go the whole 9 yards, the whole shebang. It's going to depend, the situation is going to dictate, but at that point, if you're early on into the game and you don't have these other items accessible to you, you're saying, Sorrana, that you might as well get 14? You might as well go for it if you got 13?
World first.
I mean, your team will be very thankful, because they always need good priests. It's very hard to find good priests and in a rich number on the servers. So if you go for 14, no one will say no of your team, because they need
it's like being a priest. That's a beautiful thing. Being a good priest is like being a female in a male prison. I shit you not. Yeah.
Right.
That's the reference.
Yep, so you're in demand. You're in demand, dude. You are sought after, as they say. All right, so real quick, I mean, I don't really know if you can even define out what their role is in a BG. Your role is to be a fucking priest, right? Like you're around dispelling. I mean, are you following around the warriors, you think, in Arathi and Warsong? Are you hovering around midfield? Are you staying more offensive in Warsong?
Yeah, the first thing is you hover around midfield, make sure that you winning the mid fight or help winning the mid fight, and as soon as your druid made it out, you focus on druid entirely. It's number one that he makes it through across the field, and one priest even sticks to him. So you have the druid, priest, hunter, and mage in the defense. What we said in the last workshops, that's the one of the most perfect defense teams you can have on the roof. And you're always trying to stick on your druid. So even though he outruns you most of the times, because he has to jump from the roof and then go up tunnel again, so you have to communicate a lot with your druid where he's going next, so you can shortcut him when the enemy team is still chasing him and he's outrunning the enemy team, and so on. But usually, you stick to your druid in the game.
Okay.
When you're not fighting mid.
Makes sense. What about AB though? AB, are you just with the warrior rolling around doing priest things, or is there something that sticks out that priests do, a role or a responsibility in Arathi Basin?
Let me think. There's nothing special, really. It becomes like you become just the normal healer in AB, basically.
Okay.
You will be send a lot to LM, because you are able to fly down instantly with your levitate spell. You don't have to rely on Noggenfog or some shit like that. They will most likely send you up to LM as a healer.
And give it to other people too, right? That's another thing.
And you can mind control people off the...
I don't think you can levitate other people in Classic, right?
Oh, really? Okay. Well, mind controlling people off LM seems very satisfying.
Yeah.
That sounds one of the most fun things you could do.
Yeah.
That sounds great.
It's very satisfying.
Oh, man. Alright, so I think we covered everything with Priest. Let me look through here. BG rolls, dueling, world PvP. Oh, shit buttons. Yep, we talked about everything, so we're going to move on. Move on. Next class up is... Let's actually get the chat to vote. Chat, what class do you guys want to see up? I can choose any one right now. Let's see what you guys want to see. Let's show some class love in the chat, man. What do you guys want to see? So far, I'll fill you guys in what we have left. We have Mage, Shaman, Druid, Warrior, Rogue, Paladin. So let's get some engagement here. Let's see what you guys want to see here. We have.
Oh, we have 10 warriors, 15 warrior votes.
15?
57 warrior votes.
No way, dude.
193 warrior votes.
Mage, Shaman,
damn,
Druid, Warrior, Rogue, Pally, dude. Let's see it, chat. Let's show that class love, that class spirit. Man, I'm looking at a lot.
There's a lot of paladins. Paladins.
Oh, man, dude, we should have done a straw poll or something. Look at this. Druid, Warrior, Hunter. Death Knight. Let's do Death Knight.
Yes.
Paladin. There's a lot of Paladin in the chat.
Yes.
Kitty cat.
All right, let's do Paladin, man. There's a lot for Paladin. That was the last one too. All right.
Look how nice we made the Paladin look.
Nice and pink, dude. Nice and pink.
Mm.
Look at that big sword, man. Man, that is a big weapon. All right, so Paladin. We'll start off. Overview. So I leveled the Paladin recently on Northdale. Loved it. Absolutely loved it. I have to say, loved every minute of it. It's a little bit slow early on, I have to say. A little bit slow, but wasn't too bad. You know, I went just Ret until I had Reckoning available to me. But from a PvP perspective, okay, so I didn't love every minute of it. From a PvP perspective, leveling, it doesn't mean jack shit if you're getting kited around like a retard. Like, honestly, that like it's if you have a full rec stack and you walk up to someone, sure, you can kind of cheese them down. But, man, dude, you're getting kited around all day, man. The hunters are just having their day with you. The warlocks are having their day with you. Not a fun time leveling as a paladin from a PvP perspective. But then again, you're able to AoE grind. You're putting out all this AoE chip damage. Just incredibly useful for your guild or whatever. If anyone has to do a dungeon or whatever, you can do whatever you want. You can tank, heal, DPS. And not only do it, but do it like a badass, dude. Like, you can really just crush it. But we're going to stay on the topic of PvP. So, leveling as a paladin by yourself, you don't have mobility. You have a slight mobility boost in the form of that 8% or whatever. But you will probably not have that if you respec Reckoning to do AoE grinding. I think you're going to be much stronger in a duo or some kind of team composition. That would be my initial perspective on it. But what do you guys think? Maybe we'll start with World PvP, both leveling and at 60. How do you guys feel about them?
Okay, so World PvP, this is where your Red Bull dream comes true, actually. Because if you're going solo, it's the meme dream of the Red Paladin is actually really viable. It's insane how the rack bombs are working, and I have even seen holy shock specs with like sword and board shit that comes really strong when tier 2 is buffed with like all the spell damage. So I think in solo world PvP you can really excel with your meme specs. And whenever you want to go back to root, like just to the standard healing paladin, I think you are a very useful tool. And everyone will love you because your buffs just fits every class. Whatever the people need, you can provide it. So
it's like as a rogue trying to kill correctly spec paladin. What would you say?
You just lose, man. I played against Josh, okay? And Joshette is one of those guys that tries every meme spec, and he's just like theorizing the shit out of it, min-maxing it. It's like the little shitty dwarf with the shield and some kind of spell damage hammer in his hand, and he looks like shit, and then once the first stun lock is over and you get him like to 70% max or maybe 65 because he's wearing plate, of course, he's just Hammer of Justice you, turns around, do some fancy shit, everything is blinking, you're nearly dead. What? And then you're just, what the fuck happened? What I do now? Then you just panic blind or vanish and shit, and then he's just healing to full, and you have just no way of resetting.
We have to
the
break
fight.
this down though. What was it? A crazy Seal of Command proc, or was it some weird spell damage build? This guy.
I have no idea I have no idea of Paladin and how the specs work. So
okay,
maybe I can ask him one time, and we can. I mean, like after stream or something.
He probably had some Reckoning stacks, bro. I mean, that's what I would assume. If you're literally he's getting right out and he's just chunking you down, I would assume he had.
Yeah, but he didn't even have a two-hander. It was one hand with shield. And
one-handed Reckoning is so good.
I mean, if we're playing Horde, we don't really want people to know about the spec, do we?
You know? Right.
Yeah.
We have to keep in mind.
Stop asking them.
Yeah, Reckoning will be potentially considerably less strong come Real Classic because they're not going to be able to sit abuse it to proc it up to 4. But even still, it should operate in some capacity in PvP. So you're saying that you find them quite strong in World PvP, right, Sorrana?
Yeah.
How do you feel, Taka, as a warrior? It seems like they might have some advantages over you in the sense of they can heal themselves, they have oh shit buttons, but then I see like montages of monkey news like hamstring kiting paladins around all day and fucking killing them.
Yeah, and I mean, paladins can do the same thing with you, right? They can.
Not really though. They don't have an on-demand slow. That's the thing. Unless we're factoring in other items, they don't really have a hamstring or anything like that.
They have bubble. They have freedoms. They can self-heal. They can stun you, which is, and I mean they have auras and shit. So I mean, a really good paladin is pretty hard to kill.
Pretty hard to kill. Okay.
I mean, if you have rank 14 gear, yeah, of course, then you know it becomes easier, right? But you still have to kill them twice.
Right. But the lay on hands too is another thing. If they really want to blow that hour-long cooldown, that's super annoying.
Yeah, so I mean, potentially you have to kill them thrice. You know what I mean? Yeah.
But I'll tell you, as a paladin, at least while leveling up, because I can't really speak on it at 60 when you have access to all the consumables and stuff, there are certain classes that the way the abilities line up, if they can just create distance from you, man, you feel useless, let me tell you, because you can't really man fight them, and they'll just whittle you down. It doesn't matter if you lay on hands, you'll eventually just still die. But yeah, paladins don't have an on-demand slow effect. They don't have a hamstring. They don't have poisons. They don't have any way to really slow you. They have very limited ranged abilities.
Yeah, no gap closers, right?
Yeah.
So you just can walk away from them,
right.
Basically.
Right.
So that's why someone in chat said, make sure that you have engineering boots as a paladin.
Oh yeah, I got them enchanted too. Well, I didn't have the engineering ones, but I got mine enchanted just to give you any little edge that you can.
So it's like run speed on boots, the nifty stopwatch, keep the swiftness potion, and maybe the engineering boots. Then that's a good thing.
Yeah, but one thing I will say,
you can even use the Skull of Impending Doom as paladin because
yeah. One thing I will say, and this may not operate in the same way during Classic, is that stacking up a Reckoning Bomb and walking up to an unsuspecting foe or someone you have a grudge against and just absolutely deleting their account in front of them, they just explode. Like they look like a fucking piñata, dude. They just literally explode in front of your eyes. It's very satisfying. It's one of the most satisfying things you can ever do in Classic WoW. It is so much fun, but it does require a bit of setup. But anyway, that's it for the World PvP. So let's talk about technical skill. We've talked about this in past, just real quick. We joke around about it. You guys have joked around about it, saying that they're kind of the lowest technical skill class. And I've heard this from multiple people. Is that still your feeling?
Yeah. I mean, you have to. I don't know, man. You have to time your little sacrifice and stuff, and that's it.
Yeah, dude.
Basically, maybe some down rank healing and keeping track of those 5-minute buffs.
Food for thought, guys. We won't spend too much time on it. People joke around about saying paladins are kind of noob, and that there's even that like BlizzCon screenshot that people like will paste, where they say that they designed paladins to be easy and accessible. So just something to think about. Oh shit buttons. Paladins are like the king of oh shit buttons. They have like have like tons of oh shit buttons. Blessing of protection, blessing of freedom. They have their bubble.
What's the cooldown on blessing of freedom?
Freedom's like 30 seconds or something. I think it's 30 seconds. Yeah.
Yeah. So please explain to me how paladin can be slowed.
Yeah.
It's like what? How the fuck can you slow a paladin? I have no idea.
Yeah, but they can't slow you. But yeah. So yeah, they have tons of oh shit buttons. Just keep that in mind. All right, let's talk about. We talked about dueling, sort of, right? We already talked about that. So let's talk about BGs. BGs, they're not really... It's a meme to play Ret in a pre-made, right? Like, would that be something laughable, you think, if someone wanted to go Ret into your pre-made?
Yeah. The thing is, in World PvP, you're so strong because you can just sit down in front of a mob and gather Reckoning stacks. But the thing is, in Battlegrounds, you have no way of really gathering all those stacks. So you have to go with what your normal toolkit gives you or hands you out. And bad thing is you're not that... The DPS that the Paladin provides is not really huge, and there is no bonus effects on it, like the MS effect on that a warrior has, or like the stuns that a rogue has, or like the crippling that a rogue has, or something like that. So as a Paladin, you're just present.
Yeah.
I don't know. It's just not useful in the battlegrounds. I couldn't think of anything, because everything that a red paladin can do to support his team could be done way better or equal from a holy paladin, which can heal a lot more. And you just take one other DPS instead of him that is way better at dealing DPS. So I think it's just not worth getting a DPS paladin into the group and leaving some other class out that is way more useful on certain things.
So it's potentially not that they're that shit, but just all the utility they would provide would be provided by a holy paladin, but better, and then they would offer heals and all that stuff.
Yeah.
Okay, so they're primarily played as holy, or overwhelmingly so. What would you describe their role to be in Warsong and AB? Is it similar to a priest in the sense that you're just doing generic healer type things and following around, or?
Yeah. I would say that he's the most standard healer that you will ever see. He's always in the big fights where he can heal the most, because that's where he excels at. I mean, he can support the druid in midfield way better than Horde can do with like the freedom, but the enemy team's pretty good at dispelling everything on the druid on midfield, so it won't stay for that long. But since you are pretty much CC immune as a paladin, you can heal a lot. And if you are behind how the fake casting works when you have someone on you, I think you are pretty much free casting all the time.
So you're CC immune with Blessing of Sacrifice, right? And you're gonna be CC immune as long as whoever you put it on is getting hit, as well as stuff like the auras, the fact that you're wearing plate. It seems like paladins naturally slot in to just be in the fray, in the eye of the storm, maybe alongside the warrior like Taka, providing Blessing of Freedoms and getting value from that Blessing of Sacrifice. Is that fair?
Yep, exactly. And that's why you don't really go for a kill on a paladin. You really want to I mean, if you force the bubble, you can go for a kill, but other than that, you just try to annoy him with like I don't know, Viper Sting or shitty debuffs on the enemy team, so he has to waste all his global cooldowns for dispelling stuff. Because he's actually the only guy that can dispel poisons on the alliance side. Because the enemy druid is flag running, of course, so he cannot be present in mid-fight to dispel, so it's only the paladin left. And he can not just put a totem down that it's doing it automatically. He has to press the button and waste the global cooldown for that.
A paladin with no mana is so useless, dude. That's one thing that even if you're trying, you know, it's just a bad time.
So that's like two reasons why most people don't want DPS in, because number one, they're a melee class, right? They're gonna be fighting in front, and but they don't have a mortal strike, so they don't have the healing reduction, and also because they are a melee class, they need to use the blessing of freedom on themselves, which you know, removes the blessing of freedom for the warrior, right? So that's two reasons why most people would rather have a warrior or a holy paladin in the group, right?
Makes sense. Yeah. Would you say that they're the hardest healer to kill in the game, or no?
No.
No. Okay.
What pulled the bubble? It's so hard for them to survive because they, I mean, even though they have consecration aura or what it is, like stuns and gouges and stuff like that, that it's I mean, he can resist counter spells and maybe even like a kick or something, but once the stuns trickle in, he cannot heal, and he doesn't even have anything like instant heals other than Holy Shock, right?
Yeah. Yep, that's true. They don't have any other healing spell. I mean, instant as far other than Holy Shock. Yep, everything is casted. All right. So last thing about paladins is the rank. What rank are you aiming for as a holy paladin? I guess as a ret, you'd be going for 14, right? You want the big boy two-hander.
Yeah.
Yeah, but most paladins are red in their heart. But since they know, yeah, since it's really like that. But since they know it is just way more efficient to be holy, whatever you do, they rank as holy as well, and they take the sword like the rank 14 weapons equal to the shamans on horde side for fun, basically, because there's no reason to go 14 for any plus healing or something like that. You just want it for the weapons. I mean, they can pretty good. They can even tank pretty good in 5-man dungeons like Strat UD or something where undeads are. So the shield is really good. They can get the one-hander is really good from rank 14. They can get for that. Even for healing, the shield is so sick with like all the stamina it has on. And I mean, so if you only PvP for fun and you want to rack and roll PvP later on, you go for 14, yeah, if you have the time to invest for that kind of fun. And I think there's Paladin is one of those classes where you don't really need to rank, because the healing gear you go in PvE for is way better than you could get from PvP.
Huh. Okay.
So if you're a true healer and you will stay healed forever, I don't think there's any reason to rank, not even to 10 or something like that.
Wow.
Because the set is, I think the set has so mixed stats that it's only good for red paladins.
Interesting. So if you're a healer at heart and you're ranking seriously, it's because you are a good person and you want to support your teammates. You know, potentially you're not really. Or maybe you're a red at heart. You're a red at heart, right? And you just want to get all the gear so you can eventually go red and become your final form. Yeah. All right. That's Pally's.
So, yeah. So are people voting for the next class?
Let's see. Come on, chat. Step up. What do you guys want next? Let's see what you want. Let's show some class love here. So we have
Shami, Druid,
Mage, Warrior.
Warrior.
Rogue. Mage, Warrior, Rogue. Yeah. So Mage, Shaman, Druid, Warrior, Rogue. What do you guys want? Show that class love in the chat. One vote for Shaman. Druid, Mage, Druid, Shaman, Kitty, Rogue.
Lots of Druids.
Yeah.
God damn.
Lots of Druids.
Oh, Mages coming on strong.
Priest, view for Priest, Shaman, Druid. Pretty mixed. People love the hybrid
I would have
classes,
to say
though.
that we never talked about Druid, and we never talked about Shamis on any Well, you know, one PvP panel we talked a little bit about chamois, but druids we never talked about druids.
Druid and Shaman have the most for sure. Which one do you guys want to do? Druid, Shaman.
Well, let's go with the chamois, maybe.
Chamois. I think chamois. Let's go chamois.
All right. Let's go Shaman, dude. I love the picture you chose, Taka, dude. The dream.
Just do shaman and get over it.
You got the thunder. You got the sulfurous right there. All right, so shamans. What do we know about shamans? You guys are alliance, so you guys know the wrath of shamans and also potentially some of their weaknesses here. Shamans.
We all hate chamois.
Man, shamans. I'll chime in on the leveling stuff, I guess, out in the open world. I've leveled a shaman to 50 something.
How do you level a shaman? I have no clue.
Oh, it's great.
Tell me.
It's great. Well, you can do the thing, so similar to how warriors hamstring kite, you know, where they're using their swing timer and making sure you trade evenly. You can do the same thing, but even better with Earthbind Totem. Very short cooldown, very low mana cost. You can Earthbind kite stuff around all day. They're great duo levelers from the 20 to 30 bracket. You're moving around faster than anybody on the whole freaking planet with Ghost Wolf. Very strong.
Is it enhancer?
Yeah, you level as enhanced. Yeah, but then once you get to 40 plus, you can make a decision to go elemental. If you're not Earthbind kiting, then at that point elemental will probably be better for you. But if you are Earthbind kiting, the advantages of Earthbind kiting are just so valuable that you want to stick with the enhancement. But out in the open world, as you're leveling as a shaman, it's going to depend on what level bracket you're in. If you can get to those upper, man, I would say. I would even say elemental shamans are a bigger threat than enhancement shamans at the higher levels as you're leveling out in the open world. They can erase people. They really can. Enhancement shaman generally, you'll throw on like Wind Fury in a PvP environment, and it can be really hit or miss with Wind Fury. You can really get super lucky or just feel super awkward about it. But like Taka said earlier, the fact that you can heal yourself, you have some mobility options on the table, you can escape and reset fights. I'd say you're pretty strong. Out in the open world. Stuff is kind of annoying with Shaman, though. The fact that Ghost Wolf can be dispelled, kind of a weird thing.
Does Ghost Wolf remove, moving impairing effects like shape-shifting on a druid? Or
no, it does not. It does not. Okay. No.
All right.
But shamans are... I've heard this before. I talked to people like Pat Milksteak. I don't know if he's still in here. He was telling me. Also, Cabe. They're telling me that shamans are amazing at interrupting your opponent's plan. Just fucking with your opponent. You have so much stuff that can just mess with them, whether it be interrupts on a 6-second cooldown or potentially a 5-second cooldown if you talent into it. Whether that be purge, offensive dispels, whether that be grounding totem or whatever else. Shamans are really good at messing up your plans. So I would say out in an open world, shamans I'm kind of neutral to out in the open world. I think that they're probably stronger elemental, but I don't know. What do you guys think? Maybe we can start with
it fucking hurts.
It hurts. It hurts.
Yeah,
Let's start with duels. Let's start with duels. I guess you're not really dueling too much, but you've 1v1'd your fair share of shamans, I would assume. How do you guys do respectively as both a rogue and a warrior versus both enhancement and elemental shaman? And resto, if that comes to mind.
Okay. Against enhancement is way easier as a rogue because you can use your evasion so much to just outplay the shaman and buy time. Because you could even do 2 evasions after each other to mitigate most of the damage that he can deal to you. So even that Wind Fury procs, it will just be dodged. Thing is, you don't really see that many enhancement shamans against you. It's like the red paladins, okay? You meet them eventually, but not really that often in battlegrounds. Mm-hmm. In a duel situation, I would say those hybrid spec'd battleground shamans are more a pain in the ass for rogue than an enhancer or deep casting shaman, because they are just so good at kiting you as a rogue that you have to basically unload everything you have in the first opener that you have. Most shamans are orcs, so there's a high chance you don't even have an opener as a rogue.
Because they just resist it.
Yeah, they resist it every time, and it's just so frustrating. So at that point, you might want to consider a reset somehow. But the flame shock is always on you. So you have to play around somehow and try to reset and then try again, but he will resist again, and then you end up doing this for 2 hours and not achieving anything.
I love how you say this with such sadness in your heart, dude. It seems like there's just so much personal experience coming in here.
It happens so much. It's just frustrating. And then even though you got the opener and you're so happy, yeah, fuck yeah, I got the cheap shot and now I'm doing this backstab and I gotta use Fist 15, the CG trinket, and I just kidney shot him and the kidney is resisted and all your plan is trash again.
Damn.
So it's so bad. And the good shamans, they put all down their like their little searing totem and the poison cleansing totem, so you cannot blind them, or you have to blind them and kill it instantly, and you just have to hope that the tick is not going right when you blinded him, so you can actually make the little swap to the totem that he stays blinded, and then you have to kill the searing totem as well, and then you have to hope that the blind is still going for 5 seconds so you can re-stealth and zap him and bandage and stuff like that. It's once it gets out of hand by resisting from the shaman or something like that, once he comes out of your stun lock, it gets pretty bad. And I think Shaman Trinket even has stun removal, right?
Okay, so all right. So so versus enhancement though, would you think your favorite? Let's just go them through them real quick. Because again, this is just very general. Like we're not really that specific here, but just So okay, you think Rogue's a bit favored versus enhance. You said even during Resto you might be favored too. You're saying the hybrid specs really kind of get you. What do you think about Resto if you had to go fight 1v1 for whatever reason?
I think Deep Resto just does not deal enough damage to kill you first, because you can just play around their heals, and I don't think that they have too much damage to kill you instantly. One more thing about the enhancement shaman. I mean, if there is a rank 14 shaman and he hits that one Wind Fury, you are most likely dead because you're so squishy.
Okay.
So there's not much to do. Right. That can happen. I mean,
you've never seen it though. Has that ever happened to you? Some big
I was never
shaman
ever
comes up with Sulfurous and one shots you. No. All right.
No. I was like at 5% or something, but I never died instantly when someone came up.
Okay. All right. So
I killed my fair share of rogues.
All right. So you think you're overall, it seems like you're pretty favored versus shaman. What about elemental shaman though? You think they also get fucked up by you, or?
Elemental shamans. I'm not too deep into the specs. I don't know if they are just hard casting or if they have many talents in their shocks, but the shocks is what excels for the shaman on a rogue, because they just kite you with the flame shock and the earthbind totems. They don't really need any more searing totem or stuff like that. And I think deep elemental shamans, they might, if they have like AQ and Nax gear, they just destroy you in like 2 or 3 casts if they can. And that's why I said it's so crucial for a rogue to kill the shaman most likely in the opener.
So super high tempo, you open up on him, just dump everything you have and hope to kill him. Yeah.
Yeah, and okay. I mean they are wearing mail as well, so
right.
A lot of armor.
You can slap on that shield too. Yeah, slap on that shield.
Yeah.
What about you, Taka? How do you do as a warrior versus a shaman, both enhancement, elemental, and resto?
Well, I feel like I only have problems with enhancements.
You have problems with enhancement?
I mean, because of RNG, right? I don't really feel I have a problem with elementals or resto, because like Sorrana said, the resto is not going to kill you, most likely. And the elemental is just make sure that you're interrupting the right things, and don't be afraid of swapping to dual wielding to get those totems down, because if you're having a 3.8 second two-hander and you're using it on a totem and possibly letting the chamois run around for fucking 8 seconds, it's gonna be that's gonna be a problem. So I mean, you can swap around, use different weapons, but you know, elemental, make sure that you interrupt the right thing. Then you have the fear. So if he's dropping a tremor totem, you can drop a fear, and then you can just pretty much, you know, win the fight, right? But it's very, very rare that I see chamois dropping tremor totems, because I don't know why, they just don't do it. And in a big fight situation, I don't think they ever drop tremor totems because they're asking for other things like strength, or I don't know, maybe armor. I don't know. I just rarely see the tremor totems, so using fears on chamois is pretty nice.
So one thing I'm thinking right now is they don't really have oh shit buttons either.
I mean, they have the same thing as druids, right? You have the instant heal.
Nature swiftness, right? That's true. They do, I guess, yeah. But there's no like bubble or you know, big reset type thing.
Yeah.
No super long cooldown type stuff. I mean, I guess you have the Ankh, which is something that you have to factor in. But
and also early game, a lot of chamois are using cloth to get, you know, better healing shit. So that makes them even easier to kill.
So I will say, as far as technical skill required, I think they're one of the highest skill cap classes. They're almost undoubtedly going to have the most buy-ins. They have so many totems, man. They have
I'm just too fucking stupid to play
so
chamois.
many abilities, man. So they're pretty much undoubtedly to play at a masterful level. They're one of the hardest classes to play. Play style. Okay, we can talk about play style. I don't think they're the strongest duelers. I don't know. But anyway, I don't know too much about it. Let's talk about playstyle in BGs. Warsong, you're going up against them. We've talked about this before. Are they sitting midfield? Are they playing that role that on the Alliance side the Warlock is playing for you? Are they sitting there trying to free cast their wombo combo on people and erase them?
Shaman is a mix between both high DPS and supportive class, and even like healer. It's really insane. You can have those elemental shamans with really good gear that are basically the second warlock that is just sitting in the back line, blowing people up with their lightning bolts and chain lightnings. And because those casts are so fast, they have a huge potential of just getting someone off guard, while a warlock shadow bolt takes some time to get casted. Also, nature swiftness helps a lot with that. If you give him berserk, it's even more painful. And I mean, Horde has a warlock as well, and if you have a shaman as well, and both focus same targets, that's even more one-shot potential. And then you don't forget that the shaman will always set Wind Fury in the warrior group, and if you have 1 or 2 warriors, they will also focus that one target, and with a little bit luck, it's just totally deleted when those 4 people cooperate on the target.
Okay, so do you see, is it, okay, so is there 1 slot for a shaman normally that you go up against, 2 slots, and is that shaman elemental or resto more of the time? Or some kind of
depends.
Weird hybrid combination?
I would say usually 1 spot for a shaman. I have played with 2 on my rank 13 mage. That worked as well, kinda, if you have like a good team. But I would say usually you go for 1. And in that case, you go with this hybrid spec of like elemental resto, it is, I think. Where you take the nature swiftness and everything else in like elemental, I think.
Interesting. Wow.
So,
sounds really fun, actually. The fact that you can do a bit of both, actually. Okay.
Yeah, you're not really good and efficient in mana when healing and stuff. You're just this little off healer that is needed when shit goes down. When your priest is like dead and you have to heal those little 10 or 15 seconds, you know, until he comes back, or maybe getting that little nature swiftness heal off to save the last % of the druid or something like that. Put the last grounding totem for the incoming shadow bolt or soul fire on the ground, something like that.
Okay. How about Arathi Basin? Is it kind of more of the same, or are they just hanging out with the main team going from base to base? They do have some high mobility with Ghost Wolf. They are able to get around pretty quick if they need to.
Yeah, that's true, but I think mounting up in AB is always superior to Ghost Wolf because you have this little cast time of Ghost Wolf, and you don't want to waste your nature swiftness for that most of the times. Usually you take that shaman for the same role as in Warsong, for that little off heal and blow up potential you have on the blacksmith, for example. And purge is a really big thing that it brings as well. Like purging in midfield and Warsong, in AB on blacksmith fights, it's such a big deal because you always purge 2 effects, and that's so strong against your enemy team. It's just superior. So you always want that one shaman. I wouldn't even... I wouldn't say... I don't know. You can even go with 2 in AB, I think. But 1 should be enough.
The one thing I will say, this is the same thing that applies to druids as well, is that because the Ghost Wolf cast time is shorter when talented into, if you are talented into it, than the mount, which is 3 seconds. It's basically 20-something seconds before the mount becomes more efficient to use than Ghost Wolf when you math it out, which is kind of interesting. It's the same thing with Travel Form.
Is that the level 40 mount, or is that the...
That's the level, because the cast time for the mount's the same, right? It's 3 seconds.
Yeah, but I mean the epic mount becomes, it catches up faster, right?
Yes, it does. I have the math right here. It is...
But yeah, pretty much what Sorrana said, regarding the chamois, that goes for the priest as well. Always try to keep the priest busy and the chamois busy, because if they are not busy healing, that means that they can mana burn, they can purge, they can dispel, and they can be, major pain in the ass.
You're right, Taka. No, that's related to the 60% mount. Yeah, so if it's the 60% mount, it's 17 seconds. So, if your next point of travel is 17 seconds or less away, it's more efficient to use Ghost Wolf. But in the case of a 100% mount, it's going to be much less than that, if nothing at all. So, yeah, good points. All right. So we talked about duels a bit, world PvP. What rank for that elemental resto spec that you mentioned before there, Sorrana? That's probably not going to require the weapons. So what, maybe 13?
Yeah, exactly. No weapons. But I also, I see many stopping at 13, because after that you can go for a nice elemental spec. The set is actually pretty nice for that. You're not a paladin. You actually can cast quite good. So the spell damage on the set brings you something, and it's really good for enhancer as well, as far as I know, because it has so much stamina and even strength on it, if I remember right. But many of those shamans really consider to go for 14 for the weapons, and then just have so much fun as an enhancer in world PvP and random battlegrounds.
Okay. So I think that about covers it for the shaman. So I'm just gonna ask you guys, what do you guys want? You guys want to keep going? We've been streaming for our usual amount of time right now. We got 3 left. We can either keep going or save it for next week. What are you guys thinking?
Well, like we discussed, we're gonna try to, dig deeper into what we're doing right now, and make sure that you have a really nice video from Kargoz later. So I don't know. I can go on and just make sure we cover all classes.
Okay.
Yeah, I think we should cover all.
All right, let's cover it all.
For the fairness.
For the fairness. For the fairness. So what do you guys want? We're going to speed up the pace a little bit here so we can get through this. We have 3 classes left. We have Mage, Druid, and Warrior. No, we have 4. Okay. So we're going to go a little quick here. We have Mage, Druid, Rogue, Warrior. Let's see what you guys want to see here. Throw it in the chat.
I think a lot of people ask for the Druid.
Druid? Mage, please. Let's see what people want.
Yeah, we never talked about mages.
Need rogue, mage. We've talked about mages a lot, actually. We've had some good mages
I
on
know.
here.
That's what I mean.
Oh, yeah. Okay. My vote goes to Warrior Masterclass 3 being posted. Nice, dude. Nice. Okay, lots for mage so far. 1, 2, 3, 4. Yeah, mage. Alright, let's go mage. Just in the interest of time, let's move with mage. Alright, so mage. We've talked a lot about mage. Mages are amazing, dude. The more and more I learn about Classic WoW with the years that pass, the more and more I realize that mages are just phenomenal in Classic. PvE, PvP, leveling.
It's a deep class, yeah.
Yeah, it's a very good class. They
It's
provide.
like my man Nasty Nas said. He's like, it's so deep that you couldn't even dig it with a shovel.
All right, that's
Stuff.
deep. That's deep.
Yeah.
All right, you're gonna need a freaking plow or something. But anyway, mages, man. At first glance, you think they're like a pure DPS class, and they are. But there's a ton of utility that mages provide. You know,
Exactly.
obviously with food and water and portals and all that shit. But just even stuff like mob tagging in a BG, you're literally playing this role where, you know, your main value add is coming by way of slowing the whole enemy team, disrupting the enemy team. This is utility as opposed to, you know, pure damage as your value add. So mages actually provide a ton of utility throughout every facet of the game. Where to even start with mages? So mages are phenomenal tier 1 levelers. They can AoE level, AoE grind. Amazing. But I will say that when you go for that AoE grinding build, you gimp yourself from a PvP perspective. You're not getting stuff like core talents like Frostbite. So you're rolling a little bit suboptimal as you're leveling, and you're going to definitely want to AoE grind as a mage. And even if you don't have access to the super juicy monster XP per hour areas, you can still AoE grind. You just have to be a little bit creative and just monitor that XP per hour bar. It should still be faster than questing. But if you do go with that AoE grind build, you won't have some of the PvP talents. With that said, you can always sheep and run away, right? In the open world. Unless I'm missing something here, you just sheep people and you just run the fuck away. You'll be fine. Lots of resets, lots of finesse on a mage. Blink, good mobility options. So, yeah, open world PvP, quite strong. Tying into dueling, what do you guys think?
I would, first of all, I'd say if you're gonna roll the mage, go Night Elf.
What?
Yeah, definitely.
Or
Night Elf.
dwarf, maybe dwarf mage as well.
Dre Knight for sure.
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh, we got a subscription. Puck Finn, subscribe. Thank you, bro.
Hey,
Now that we solved the mystery about the master race for mage, I would say mage as a whole is like in the whole PvP, it's like king of peel. Single target DPS is insane, as well as AoE capabilities. You have an answer for everything that faces you, pretty much. Yeah, it's either, I mean, you can run away, you can kill it, you can peel it, you can do whatever you want and play how you want. So that also means that you are in control of most of the matchups in duels, for example. All time, or like 90% of the time you play, you will feel that you control the pace of the duel. You're not much reacting on like the enemy, but he's reacting on your moves. So you can plan ahead and outplay your enemies by that. You don't have to stick to a certain rotation in PvP. You can always play what comes in your mind. There's like there's no hard thing, like no thing set in stone that you have to do it like that or else. Mage is so viable that you can do it however you need it at the moment.
They're just good, dude.
so
Mages
good.
are just good, man. And like people like North, he originally played Warlock. That was his main for a while, and he PvP'd as a Warlock and was somewhat successful with that. And then he transitioned over to Mage, and people like Mage for the really action-packed. You probably like Rogue for the same reason, Sorrana, I don't know. But, you know, it's a very fast style of gameplay. A lot of finesse. A lot of ability to reset and dictate the flow of a fight, right? So
yeah, exactly. That's why I rerolled to mage after the rank 14 on the rogue and ranked him up as well, because it's just such a fun experience to do.
Right.
Insane.
Mages are just good, man. So as far as strengths and weaknesses, if I was thinking about counter comps and stuff, one thing I find interesting, and multiple mages have shared this with me, is that Druid, and even Resto Druids can out-attrition mages, so they can do quite well in a 1v1 environment versus mages. They can wear them out. They can get out of all their roots.
Yeah,
that's true. You know, they can really fight back against the mage trying to, you know, control that tempo. As far as strengths, I mean, you always hear about that classic Frost Mage Warrior matchup. Mages will just take a dump on warriors. Sorry, my dogs are freaking out at the mailman or something. Against rogues, it's pretty even, right? We've talked about this a bunch of times. It's pretty even matchup.
Yep. Mind games.
You got some oh shit buttons. You got stuff like Ice Block, Cold Snap. I'd say is an oh shit button as well.
Yes.
Here, why don't you keep talking? I'll mute myself for a minute. My dogs, calm down.
That's okay. It's like, yeah, mage. I think one of the weakness of mages is, especially in like duels, is the warlock and like shadow priests maybe. Druids is because of they can just free from everything that you would use to control a fight, like frost novas or like shatter combos, slow effects like that. So the instant casts you can do as a mage will not deliver that much damage usually on a druid that it will kill him, so he can always outrun you if you're hard casting basically, and that's why you can never bring as much damage on a druid as you would wish as a mage. He's just outranging you and stuff and comes back dotting you, and you will just eventually go before him, and that's how you lose the duel basically. It's just a duel of time who goes first. It changes a lot with AQ patch when mages go fire. If you go elemental spec in PvP as a mage, you will find the classes that you had a lot of trouble as a frost mage before will get a lot easier, while the classes that you had easy times as a frost mage get a lot harder as an elemental. So the meta game kinda swaps around. Because you're a lot more squishy, you have less utility, but you can DPS a lot harder in less time than a frost mage. What else? PvE is pretty boring. You just hard cast frost bolts until you hit AQ. With AQ, you go into fire spec, and then it gets fun with the ignitics and stuff. But the fun ends when you are the first one with ignite, and everyone refreshes it, and you pull aggro and die on the boss.
Yeah.
So you're really good at gold farming.
What aren't you good at, man, as a mage?
Yeah, it's
healing.
Yeah, it's
hard to say.
It. You can't heal, bitch.
You can't heal, bitch. You can kind of tank though because you can freeze everything. Oh man, so you can't heal as a mage, but other than that, you're good to go. All right.
Yeah,
so
you will hate hunters for sure.
So you need 14 as a mage though, or no?
No, not at all. I have seen mages with the rank 14 stuff, same reason as the priest, when like the server is so fresh and the honor system is there at the beginning, you can go for the stuff, because the stuff is actually pretty nice for PvP purposes with the stamina. And I think it's even better than Mage Blade. You will have less crit, but it's still very good. The stuff, but in BWL, if you can get the hands on Claw of Chromagos, or maybe Staff of Neferin, then you will replace it most likely, because it's just too good to ditch. So most people stop at rank 13. Rank 13 is in PvE even better, but only at the buffed PvP set. So the epic set gets buffed at 1.8 or 1.9, I think, usually. On Nostalrius, for example, it was done way earlier on BWL patch, so everyone went for rank 13 to go for it because it was so much better.
Like a lot of mages only go for rank 10.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, blue set is very good as well because you have a lot of spell hit. So if you combine 2 set bonus, I think, with some Bloodvine pieces, that's like nearly the best you can like hit gear for casts you can get.
No.
All right, so potentially rank 10. You don't need the rank 14.
10, yeah, and rank 10 is fairly easy, right?
Yeah, we said you can go casual rank 10. Everyone can do it without the pre-made, investing a little bit of time. Don't have to no-life it, so it's possible.
Okay. Yeah, we talked about everything, I think. Spots on a pre-made. So, okay, real quick, spots on a pre-made. We've talked about this before. In Warsong, you're kind of that dude that... So okay, explain it again. I don't want to butcher it. So, you have some interaction with the flag carrier, right?
Yes, so if the druid is struggling to get it out alone, you will always go with the druid and peel everything off, especially the rogue from him. And that's what you do the whole game in Warsong. You peel stuff off your team. You sheep people left and right. Whatever sheep is DR'd, you take the next target and DR it. You use sheep to interrupt spells because the sheep is way faster than a big heal, for example. So when you start at the same time, you can interrupt the heal with that, even though you have no counterspell. Yeah, you counterspell targets. You freeze them, you slow them, you rank 1 frostbolt them, you dismount them with your sheep. Very important if they are respawning and they are catching up to your flag carry, because 100% mounts faster than the druid. You want to slow them and then sheep them so they are dismounted and have to mount up again maybe. Or you keep them in combat entirely so they cannot mount up again and you trap them into the field. Saved your flag carry. You're just the king of peel in Warsong. In AB, we said in AB you're still king of peel. You're at the choke points. Improved Blizzard will seal the deal to slow down like an entire push of the enemy team. When you slow them down and they are affected by the improved Blizzard, you have like 3 or 4 second window, even though the Blizzard is not casted anymore and they are slowed in that time. That you can sheep a few of them to dismount them, and then you start blizzarding again whoever is left, and so on. So yeah, so
and you're chilling at those choke points, right? So like you have Lumbermill, Goldmine, BS. You're right where those roads intersect. You're chilling there. That's one of your main responsibilities, right? Just trying to throw out stuff to annoy, slow down the other team, whatever you can do. So
exactly, yeah. You're probably the most annoying dude on the field.
And as far as slots go in a pre-made... Sorry.
Do you know what's even more annoying than a mage peeling you?
No. Do tell. 2 mages. Gotcha. Yeah. I was just going to say...
I mean, 2 mages can be fucking insane. If they play well together, let's say in a Warsong Gauche match, where you need to keep people busy in the mid-fight, 1 mage is you know, blizzarding and kiting, and then, you know, people get close to him and he ice blocks, and then the other mate takes over and they chase after him. Oh my god, it's just insane.
I was just gonna say that you can have, it's kind of the type of thing with mages where it's like more the merrier, right? You could even have 3. Could you have 4? Like, is that troll, or is it the type of thing you can just kind of stack indefinitely if they're good players?
I wouldn't say indefinitely, but yeah. 4 for AB is still okay.
Yeah. I mean, mages, hunters, those are the type of classes that you can actually, you know, bring more than you actually need, because they can still do some good, right?
Yeah. All right. Mage down. Next one up. We're going to go Druid. People wanted Druid. Let's just go Druid, man. Let's hop right into Druid.
Yes.
Druids are awesome. I love Druids. Druids, one of my favorite classes in all of Classic WoW. They don't get enough love. Underappreciated. Underplayed, whatever you want to call them. Druids are awesome, man. They excel in every aspect of the game, in my mind. in PvP. They're the de facto flag carriers. They, in their right hands, have offensive capabilities, like really strong offensive capabilities, but they kind of have a counterintuitive play style. So I've spoke with some druids over the months, and they have described to me kind of this hit and run play style, where you don't just man up. All right, someone's at the door. Just keep talking. I'll be right back.
Okay. Yeah, so what Kargoz tried to say is exactly what we tried to explain, and in the duel against the mage, the hit and run is always pretty good. So whenever you duel, you never want to stay close to someone, because it's just giving you the disadvantage. You always want to keep your range. You can moonfire, dot the target, maybe hard cast even a bit. I'm not a special in druid duels. You deal most of your damage though in the bear forms, as far as I know, in the hybrid spec. And you just try to get the fuck off whenever you need a heal, and then you just hit and run, buy your time and go back in. So you try to control the fight at every moment. But usually, I don't know. Watch Stormling X videos to get more info about like the hybrid caster spec, which is not the flag running spec though. So whenever you go world PvP, you most likely have to respec to kill anything efficiently, I would say. And when you're flag running, you want, in case of gearing, you want at least the 4-set bonus. So you need rank 8 at least, because that gives you the 30% movement or like the movement speed increase in your travel form, and that's what you really want and need on in flag running in PvP. You are outside of Warsong flag carrying duty. You are a really good anchor in AB. So your pre-made team will always have only one druid spot in AB and in Warsong, and they honestly owe you something for the Warsong weeks, so they have to carry you in AB, and you will most likely anchor because that's where your class excels at.
You think they need to be carried in AB?
Yeah, kinda, because you're not that useful besides anchoring. I mean, you can't be CC'd nearly. Like a rogue cannot zap you if you're standing in bear. The only thing is maybe you can get feared, but you cannot get slapped by another druid because you're just switching out of the form and stuff like that.
How do you feel about the idea that druids being the best anchors in the game? I don't know.
That's probably true.
You think so?
Yeah, because whenever I played against really good pre-made with a druid anchoring in the battleground, I just ditched that base because I knew I cannot ninja cap it. It's just no way. You cannot mind control cap this guy. You can maybe try to sleep sand him. I don't know. You have to pull out really niche things to get that base.
The main thing separating rogue from... Sorry, go ahead.
I mean, you can just relate to, let's say you're facing a druid in a duel, right? So the class you're playing, how long does it take for you to kill that druid? If you can even kill a druid, right? So let's say he can survive a couple of minutes. So can you imagine in a Arathi Basin environment, right? Where people keep respawning from the graveyard. I mean, yeah, like Sorrana said, most of the time it's not even worth trying. As a lot of classes. Some classes can kill a druid, of course, but you know, they're like he said, all the druid has to do is run away, and when you start to cap the flag, he comes back and he gives you one interrupt, and then he goes away, and he can pretty much do that indefinitely.
Yes. I think that's one thing. When I leveled the druid on Northdale a few months ago, it was probably almost a year ago now, it was very counterintuitive to me. I would go into, like, I would throw up some hots or dots or whatever. I would go into my animal form and I'd just start man-fighting whoever I was up against. And I did not have success doing that. And talking to a lot of the druids that are good, they say that you need to, it's very much a hit-and-run playstyle. You need to know when to Just pop out, go back to casting form, throw up a moonfire, throw up a heal, then go back to form, then charge in and interrupt them, and keep going, weaving in and out. So I think Druid's offensive capabilities are very much almost underexplored. That you see some of these like PvP videos by some of the really good Druids like Stormex, they make them look so strong. But yeah.
But I think a video is, I mean, it's actually sick what he shows there, no doubt. But I think you have to take it with a grain of salt, because a video most likely shows the most perfect scenes they could find.
Right.
And you shouldn't be expecting that it is 100% like that. You have to be really experienced, and you I think you just have to gain a lot of experience, and if you have to see that is a spec for world PvP only or dueling only. What you're gonna do like 90% of your rest, of the other time you have in the game, right? And you don't want to respec every second day, because it's actually 50 gold per respec in retail, so it becomes hard. So keep that in mind when you play Druid.
That's a big thing, like what Sorrana said. You know, how do you become super good in PvP? Well, it's like everything else in life. You have to do it over and over and over and over and over and over and over. That's how you become really good. You know.
Yeah. Got to put that 10,000 hours in. That's what it takes to become
the Chinese master.
Yeah. Yeah. But as the so the fly carriers in a Warsong setting, they're Resto Feral hybrid, right?
They have Feral into Bear Charge, as far as I know, and Nature Swiftness.
Right, yeah. So they're primarily Resto, and they splash into Feral. But that's a really strong spec. So even if you can't kill someone, you'll probably be able to get away from them.
Yes, that's your only goal in Battlegrounds. Yeah.
Which is a nice
killing
thing.
is not your job.
It hurts your pride every time you die out in the open world, you know, when someone just goes and ganks you. So if at least if you're playing a Druid, they're not going to erase you. You're going to be able to get away more often than not. So, okay, you talked about, I walked in and you guys were talking about what rank to aim for, right? So we talked about BG roll.
We didn't really say rank, right? Rank is, like, majority ends at 13. I have seen people go for 14, because for flag carrying the 14, the stuff again becomes really handy. It has the stamina is just so huge on it that the stuff becomes really handy. But I think majority is going for 13, and you can really flag carry like a sick motherfucker with rank 13 as well.
Like a sick motherfucker, nice.
Like a sick shaka pucker.
All right, so let's move on. Let's move on to the next one. We got, let's see, 3 to go, 2 to go. Let's see. We did Shaman, right? 2 to go. 2 to go.
There's a Rogue and Warrior.
Warrior Rogue, dude, and you guys are the experts, man. I love it. All right, let's go. Let's start with Warrior. All right, Taka.
Okay.
Warrior, man. We've been doing the Warrior Masterclass. We've been doing all this stuff. How do you think?
What part are we on? I can't remember.
Oh man, part 3, I think. I don't know, man.
Takanashi panel, let's go.
Yeah.
Yes, sir.
All right, so.
But what did you get in the package? What was in the pink
my
package?
little pretty pink package here, dude. These are my,
Is that something from Victoria's Secret?
This is my pink bathrobe that I wear every night, dude. Sort of a new one. Oh, I don't know what this is, dude. Probably some. Yeah, it's definitely for the wifey, dude. It's got pink unicorns on it.
All right.
Not much of a pink unicorn guy myself. Oh, he's got the Taka beard on, dude. I love it. I'm gonna get one too.
Of course, it's
man.
Warrior time.
Dude. So Warriors, man, Warriors. I heard about this class. Pretty solid class. Leveling. I'll chime in again with the leveling real quick before Taka takes over. You're gonna have a bad time. You're gonna have a bad time. You're gonna, if you get initiated on as a warrior, you're pretty much fucked, man. While you're leveling, I mean, not always, but Warrior's very gear dependent, probably the most gear dependent class in the game. Slow leveling speed, no self heal. You guys have heard this before, right? So out in open world PvP, they struggle. But when you combine them with a healer, someone that can dispel, someone that can help you out, assist you, come quite strong, right? So that's it from the leveling side. What about at 60, Taka? How do you do in duels and open world PvP?
Well, first you grow a beard. Right?
Okay, check.
Yeah. Yes.
Check.
And then you make sure that you have a macro for need rolling whatever the fuck drops in PvE environments. Okay? If it's a one-hander, two-hander, shield, if it's cloth, leather, mail, plate, doesn't
Take it all?
matter. Take it all.
Okay.
That's right. So if a warrior does not win the roll, it's gonna end up on a Red Bull's bank account doing nothing. I'm sorry to say it.
Okay.
Yeah.
So
But come level 60, the real fun begins. You know, the warrior is a super gear dependent class. So you know, planning ahead on what you want is very, very smart. Or maybe watch a YouTube video of a master class, perhaps. You know,
perhaps.
yeah, that's a good thing. But warriors are one of the classes that definitely should go for rank 14.
Hell yeah.
Yeah.
Hell
Level
yeah.
60, the fun begins. Get some fucking gold going. Be a smart person
How many warriors per pre-made in Warsong and AB?
indefinitely.
Definite?
Yeah.
No.
10 warriors? Fuck yeah.
10 warriors, yeah. But I mean, warriors are one of the classes, or one of the few classes that you can actually bring. I mean, in Arathi Basin, you can even bring 4 warriors, you know?
Okay. What about in
you
Warsong
don't-
though? 1? 2?
No, I'd say most pre-mates you'll have 2 warriors in a war song.
Okay.
Yeah, even 3. I mean, we even play with 3, right? It kind of depends on how many warriors are ranking. You know, sometimes you have to, you know, help a warrior because they have a trouble to get honor farmed this week, and you know, etc. Maybe one warrior only have you know, a little bit left to get rank 14, and another warrior, I don't know. So you know, it's this juggle thing. You can it depends on.
So you can have
the
2 in
day.
Warsong and up to 4 potentially in Arathi. Now,
Yeah.
is it pretty much a hard requirement to have a warrior? So they have this Mortal Strike debuff you guys are probably familiar with, reducing healing. Can you have a functional tier 1 bracket 1 pre-made without a warrior? Is that something that has been done, or is that blasphemy?
No.
Well, I mean, I
don't
would not go in that pre-made, but of course you can win a pre-made. I mean, you can
Right.
win a game with whatever the fuck you want. It just depends on how many hours you want to spend.
Bracket
winning.
1, bracket 2 though. Think you need
Yeah,
them?
still. Yeah, I think you need at least one. The MS effect is really crucial. I think on the druid, like 50% healing reduce on a target. It's just sick. Swapping targets, get MS on, and then just try to focus it. And even with the next MS, you just swap targets if it's not happening and stuff. Imagine not having that. Like everything is just free casting, free healing. It's,
Yeah, the
I mean, it's really hard to kill a lot of classes when you have maybe 3 or 4 healers, you know, healing that target that you're trying to kill, and not having Mortal Strike on is, you know, Jesus Christ.
So as a warrior too, you're kind of the tip of the spear, right? You're kind of you're the bulwark, you're the point of contact between you and the enemy. He's creating space and defining that line in the sand of where the 2 teams are facing, right? So you're kind of the eye of the storm, right? And you're, you know, with that comes sort of responsibility, and you know, it's warriors Warriors do quite well in an environment where they're getting hit a lot too. Is another thing because they're going to generate more rage. Their resources is going to scale better. But okay, so rank 14, dueling, not so good, right? What do you think about dueling? Probably.
Well, I mean, you can learn how to duel, right? You can learn how to beat every class, or at least come as close as you can. You know what I mean? There are certain people that they might not be the best players in the world, but they really, got dueling down to this fucking, optimal. They never make a mistake, which gives them the benefit that if the other person makes one single mistake, they can actually turn the duel around and win.
Mm-hmm.
And most classes or most players potentially make one mistake, or they have some unfortunate RNG shit.
So as a warrior, even without self-healing and stuff, you feel like you have a way to win against all classes pretty much?
Yeah, I mean, personally, I don't like rogues and I don't like hunters.
Okay.
But I prefer a good mage than a good rogue.
I
have to say, yeah.
What class do you think is the easiest for you to take out as a warrior? What do you have the most success up against in a duel situation? Oh man, think about it, man. Think about it. All right. So while you're at it, how technical do you think warriors are? Do you think they're one of the more technically challenging classes? I would assume so. Your stance dancing, managing rage, or what?
I mean, they have a really high skill cap, definitely. No. You need to play warrior so much that you're not ever thinking about what your next move is. You just, when someone is doing one thing, you're countering it, right? And yeah, I think it has to be, in the back of your head, everything. You just need to play it over and over so you can. But yeah, I feel like warriors are one of the most complicated classes in the game, in both PvP and PvE, and but also you have a lot of responsibility, right? Which you said, and since you're the person that's kind of in the front line, making mistakes, then everyone sees it, right? It's kind of like being a goalie.
That's a good analogy. Yeah,
you know what I mean?
I feel you.
Yeah, nobody gives a shit when you're.
You watch the dude jump the other direction. The ball's going left. The goalie jumps right. Oh, that's so funny, dude. All right, I feel you. Okay.
Yeah. But
all right. So spots in a pre-made playstyle. Okay. Oh shit buttons. You don't have too many oh shit buttons. I mean, you have some.
Did I mention the thing you have to grow a beard?
You have to grow a beard, yes, to play warrior.
Face armor. Yep.
Yeah, face armor. It's like a lion. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I mean, shield wall is pretty big though, isn't it?
Yeah.
That's the only one I was thinking of, though. What's another one?
30-minute cooldown.
I guess a no shit button would be intimidating shout too. That's a no shit button, I guess.
True.
You also have the retaliation. The one that parries everything,
yes.
Right? That's a no shit button.
I just want to say this to everyone who plays retail and doesn't read the tooltip in Classic. Retaliation does not reduce ranged damage from, magical damage. It's not the same in Classic. I see a lot of warriors using that retaliation against the
mages and shit. Wow.
Warlocks, whatever. And yeah. Just read it.
And it's same cooldown with like shield wall, right? So
yeah. So
I think shield wall is always the better choice.
Yeah.
So if you're using one, then the rest of the other two is gone for 30 minutes.
Yeah, I mean, I guess you have oh shit buttons, right? There's just a severity of the oh shit buttons. Paladins have an oh shit button in the truest sense. They click it and they're fucking immune from everything, you know what I mean? Warriors have some oh snap buttons, dude. I'll call them oh snap buttons.
Yeah, it's like you can, when you're comparing like mages and rogues and paladins, I mean, their oh shit buttons have like 30-second or 1 minute cooldowns, right? The warrior is kind of like you're popping a cooldown and everyone is running the different directions. Like, okay, there's no use trying to kill him now. And then when the cooldown is gone, they just everyone fucking jumps you. Yeah.
Such is life, man. All right. Well, I think that's it for warrior. Get rank 14.
What?
What else we got?
You son of a bitch. I don't know. Yeah, the warriors really. I mean, most people go for either rank 12 or they go for rank 14.
You gotta go 14 as a warrior, right? You gotta go 14, dude.
Yeah, but if you don't have the time, you go for rank 12, so you get the leggings, which are pretty much best in slot for a long time, and then you use the 2 blue pieces for the set bonus, and yeah, that's a pretty. I mean, you can go for the shoulders, but a lot of people say that it's not worth it, to spend all that time. So pretty much you go for rank 12 or you go for rank 14.
12 or 14.
That's my,
14 or go home. All right.
And yeah, make sure that you have, healers that loves you. Right?
Yes.
So as a warrior, have many best friends, and then make sure that you have targeting macros. Make sure that you're communicating with the other warriors, so you're not attacking 3 different fucking targets, leaving nothing killed. 2 warriors connecting, or potentially 3 warriors. Communicate. I tell Sorrana, let's say, mortal strike up, okay? So, unless the target is really close to dying, he's not going to use mortal strike straight away, right? And he can potentially use mortal strike on a different target, cycle the cooldowns, and blah, blah, blah,
That's one thing we've talked about on our masterclass. You got to show restraint as a warrior. You don't want to blow up. Even with rogue, too. We're going to talk about rogue in a second. You don't want to blow your whole load in 1 second.
Yeah.
All right, but let's move on to rogue. Last one, man. Yes. Let's finish strong. The final class, my favorite class from World of Warcraft. For those of you who have been following me in my channel, you know how much I love rogues, dude. They're so near and dear to my heart. I swear to God, I love those.
That's not what you told me the other day.
Those yellow bar using fucking slimy little. I love them, man. Rogues are the best, dude. Sorrana, tell the people how awesome rogues are. I'm gonna go for it, man. Rogues, dude.
Okay. So, what are we gonna say? Overview. You are that sneaky little bastard that everyone hates. But basically, overview. Rogue is a pretty fun class to play. It has an easy concept, but it's kind of hard to master. But even though you're not that super tryhard or pro, you will have a lot of fun with it. You are really good in PvE. You are really good in PvP, so you won't have that much trouble finding a raid or maybe even a pre-mate if you perform well, even though you have only 1 slot in your pre-mate, which leads us to the spots in the pre-mate. It's only 1 of you. There's a slight chance that there are 2 of you in AB, maybe. You can make it work with like cooperating on ninjaing bases. But usually it would be a waste to take more than 2. You have to know that you're really squishy, so you need to use your toolkit with stuns and stuff and the big burst damage to your advantage. And you will find that most of the classes you will duel are actually a threat to you. It doesn't look like it from the outside, but if you're equal skilled, many of those classes have an answer in 2019 to you. So it's not that one-sided like it was back then, like you know it from the Super Onage videos.
Yeah.
Most of the classes actually can beat you pretty easily if you fuck up. So you have to kind of get some experience to make it work.
So,
solo game, yep.
I was just going to say one thing. For a lot of people like just tuning in, maybe you haven't been super deep in Classic. You hear all the memes, World of Roguecraft, Rogue's so strong. You probably have bad memories of rogues killing you thousands of times in Stranglethorn Vale. But it's a type of thing that it's evolved in a way where rogues at a high level of play aren't those, you know, archangels of death that just hand you an L in a single opener. Like they're actually played more of a support class, which I kind of learned through people like Sorrana, and that they're sort of gimped in some ways compared to TBC. I don't know.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, basically your solo gameplay is pretty boring. Leveling is kind of a pain. You have 0 AoE abilities besides Blade Fury, and that only affects one target that is close to you besides the main target. It has a 3-minute cooldown, only works for 30 seconds, I think. So it's kind of hard to get any AoE damage done, besides stuff like using zappers and so on. Your PvP damage will fall off with later patch stages. With that I mean like really late Nax rammers. You will have some trouble against compared to other classes because they deal a lot more damage in less time than you do, and you will notice that when you start playing on a fresh server that your burst is really sick, and that's what you enjoy as a rogue player. But it kinda changes in the progression of the server until Nax. Besides that, what can I say else? It's always fun. You are one of those classes that actually need a higher skill cap these days, because like I said, every class is an enemy for you at some point of equal skills, so you need to know what you do. Your battleground roles, in Warsong it's pretty easy. You're in either full defense or full offense, so whenever you are in full defense you try to keep the flag room clear from anyone that tries to get out the flag, which is usually a druid or a mage. You have to use your full toolkit to make that work and communicate with your team if it doesn't work. Like say where the enemy flag carry is heading, if he runs out through tunnel, if he goes connector, if he goes up roof and jumps down, stuff like that. If the flag is through the midfield, you are in full offense mode. That means you sneak up on the roof, wait for your offensive team and prepare the target for your offensive team. So it's very rare that you will kill the enemy druid solo, because he has just too much and is too tanky to get killed by you. He will just run away. And yeah, so you prepare it with like stun locks, expose armor, stuff like that, bleeds, crippling, zaps on the healers, and then if your offensive team trickles in, you just delete him. You can also wait on the balcony in a Warsong, so whenever your offensive team pushes down the druid, you wait for him and finish him off. That's basically your Warsong task, to make it short. In AB, your life is pretty boring. You are anchoring. When your team is winning, you are anchoring the whole game. If you're 5-capping, you will join them to kill, but that's when you're farming pucks. If you're not winning, it gets a little bit more interesting for you, because it relies on you to find the opening in the enemy team. You are the one that sneaks around and checks the bases on weakness. And if you can ninja cap bases, your team is relying on you for that, because they cannot do it. They have to fight and distract the enemy on other bases, so that you have free hand of getting that one weak base. and that's basically it. You will never be in one of those big fights in mid. You will never be in one of those big fights in BS, like in
so squishy, right? You just
Blacksmith.
get cleaved down. Is that the main reason?
Yeah, that's exactly it. You're not really that helpful. You only have single target damage, like we said, so you can burst one target maybe, but the time that you appear, you will most likely be dead. You will just be charged and blown up by the back line of the team.
That's kind of a cool thing about rogues, thinking about it now. So you're best utilized with precision strikes. You're almost just like this fucking sniper, dude. Like you pop up out of nowhere,
one task force.
fucking eliminate someone real quick, go back into the shadows like it never fucking happened, dude.
This is also why your life in world PvP is not that fancy. If you go solo in world PvP, it's really fun because you have those 1v1 matchups. If you're interested like that, but if you go like in fights for world dragons, world bosses, for like crater situations and stuff. It's not that good as you think. You can zap one target, open on the other, and then just run around and peel a little bit, but you won't do much damage in a big team fight, unfortunately. You can maybe, yeah, you're just most likely peeling and finishing off people.
Makes sense. So rank 14, we talked about that, right?
Yeah, rank 14 for sure.
Best and worst matchups as a rogue.
Like I said, yeah, if it's equal skilled, everything could be a hard matchup for you. One of the most easiest, I think, as a rogue is warrior. That's the one fight I feel like I'm always in control. It can go really bad though. If you make one mistake and come too close, he's just deleting you with like one overpower and an MS or something like that. So it can go either way, but you can keep the control on those fights most likely. So that's why you are in the position of winning it if you don't make a mistake. If you make a mistake, it's on your own, so you fucked it up. On mage, it's like 50-50, so it's one of the better setups, I would say. Druids most likely run away from you, so I don't know. If they are forced in a duel to stay in range, I think you have some kind of advantage. I didn't really duel that many druids, to be honest, in fancy strategies. Warlock is pretty hard. So whenever you face a warlock that is above that, you shadow reflect their death coil. If there's a warlock that is above that skill level, you will have a hard time facing him. Same goes with Hunter. If the Hunter knows how to play around your Skull of Independent Doom, he will always or most likely beat you. Shadow Priests are pretty hard. I most likely avoid them. If you get the opener, you can win if you blow them up as fast as possible, not holding any cooldowns back. You have to make quick work here because of the fear. You can only get rid of 1 or 2 fears and then you're most likely toast. Shaman is kinda hard because they can kite you, as we said on the Shaman slide. So you have to make quick work here as well. Rogue is pretty easy. Like rogue duels can be decided on the opener, pretty much, I would say. What else do we have?
Well, I would just say, I mean, is it true what they say? Is it really a lightning fast, style of gameplay as a rogue where milliseconds count, or is it maybe not as much as that as people say it is?
You have to predict a lot, and that's why that's millisecond shit. If you just activate your skull a little bit too late, you will get cheap those CC'd, and you always have to mind read your enemy basically, because you don't have any oh shit button to get out of certain stuff that already happened to you. You always have to do it preemptively. If the Pomparo comes and flying to you, or like the Death Coil, you have to instantly vanish if you can to avoid it, so you have to preemptively do it. But if it landed, your vanish won't help, so you don't have anything to mitigate damage if it has been done. You have to mind read your enemy that the damage is not hitting you in the first place. Okay, and as far as oh shit buttons, I mean, rogues are they just have tons of cooldowns, right? It seems like I would say they would be a cooldown dependent class, but the thing is,
you have these cooldowns that are constantly coming and going, right? And you just have to adapt your playstyle to see what you have available to you, what's on cooldown. But with that respect, it seems like they just have tons of buttons, man, like tons of little cooldowns to manage and stuff. So.
It's not that much. I think Rogue is one of those classes you don't have any knots in your fingers if you do it quite okay-ish, I would say.
Oh, okay.
I mean, it's getting really annoying with in the vanilla mechanics because tap targeting is really bad in the classic client. That's why like focus targeting is not a thing. So you don't have any focus target macros. You don't have any focus blinds, focus kidneys, whatever stuff. You still have the combo points on your target. Whenever you apply another combo point to a different target, it's lost. So you're not that viable as you are in retail, just going around and stunning everyone because you won't have the combo points for that. So you can peel, but you won't deal any damage while you peel. So you have to choose, do I fuck someone up with my damage, or do I fuck someone up with my peeling, not dealing any damage? So it's situation based.
I see. Gotcha. I don't know. I don't think we have anything else. Anything else you can see here?
I think that wraps it up in a short version, yeah.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, we did it. All 9, unless I'm missing one. Let me double check. Taka, this was one hell of an idea, dude. I'm glad we did it. This is a beast.
All right.
Yeah, man. So that's it, ladies and gentlemen. We did all 9 classes. I hope you enjoyed it. I hope you learned something. Thanks for hanging out with us. We'll be back next week with PvP Workshop number 13. Oh, I have to say, please, for the love of Warcraft, please follow these guys on Twitch, Facebook, everything that they're on, because these guys are amazing. They're here every week. That's the #1 thing you can do to support this show if you like what you're seeing here. So go follow them. Sorrana and Taka, they stream on Twitch. Taka's is twitch.tv/the Takanashi. I'll put it in chat. It's also in the description. Both of them are in the description. Sorrana's is twitch.tv/Sorrana199. I'm not sure if you're still going to do a little post game, man. We've been streaming for a while. But if you are, I'll host you. But please, 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 again, follow these guys. They really deserve it. Way better players than I am. So that's it for this week, guys. Hope you enjoyed it. Catch you next week. Take it easy.
Thank you for hanging out, guys.
Bye-bye.